What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Woodbine Live, the Canada Day Racing Festival here on ABR Live. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson. And for the first bit of our journey here, I'll be joined by a couple great guests and co-hosts. That's JD Fox and Mikey P from In the Money. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing well, Ryan. It's a good day for racing, and we're dodging some weather throughout the country, dodging some weather at Churchill, dodging some wind at Woodbine, but the rain's been out. Turf courses are both listed good. We're ready to make some money for the folks today.
That's right. I'm ready as well. Mikey, how about you? How are you doing? I was with you on the In the Money show this morning. How's your day been going?
Yeah, they're doing great. It's interesting. There's lots of great racing all over the country. The Churchill races are fast and furious. The New York races have been sharp so far. And this Woodbine card is fantastic. So really no lack of wagering opportunities, it seems.
Yeah, no doubt. They just wrapped up race number 5 out at Woodbine. That was the Marine Stakes with the number 5 Mancetti winning and paying $12.80. JD, I know your focus primarily up at Woodbine. What were your just kind of overview thoughts as we are through the first 5 races of today's card?
Yeah, so we do have wind, like I spoke of, and the wind's coming out of the west, pretty consistent at about 15 miles an hour with some gusts. Generally, what we see when it's coming straight out of the west of Woodbine, obviously that's going to help the horses down the backstretch, and they're going to be running into the wind when they're coming for home on the front stretch. So days like today, you want to be pretty close to the lead. Now, obviously, we say that, and then some jockey will go way too fast out front, and we'll see somebody be able to close into it. But for the most part, today's definitely a day where you want to be on or near the lead on either turf course or on the main synthetic track.
That is good to note. We'll get out to race number 6 here. We got 24 minutes to post, so we'll just we'll give a little discussion as we start off our day. Races 6 through 10. It's going to start the late pick 5. We spoke a little bit earlier in the week. I think we're going to throw together a bit of a group pick 5 ticket and follow along as we go. JD or Mikey, actually, I'll throw it out to you to start us off. Was there anybody in the sequence that you felt that you could lean pretty heavily on?
For me, My Boy Prince is the big lean for me today. I just think that he's the class of this field. He's a grade 1 horse racing against horses that. Patrick Nolan aside, I think maybe need to class up to beat him. So, and on the grass, I think he's a turf sprinter that gets exactly what he wants, and he's going to dictate this race. I like him a lot in this race. I think that he's the one I'd like to lean on in that late pick 5.
I like it. I'm also a fan of My Boy Prince today. JD, how about you?
Well, I would say the same thing in that race, but I would look to Patches O'Houlihan coming off of the course record last time out. In the Thorncliffe. My Boy Prince has been running well, but hasn't necessarily been winning races, won the elusive quality. But you look at My Boy Prince as a Canadian 3-year-old last year, didn't even win top Canadian 3-year-old male horse. That's another horse that's actually in that race in the 8-horse Dresden Row. So, it's a case of, My Boy Prince was the big hype as a 2-year-old coming into the 3-year-old season. Even last year, we were worried that we weren't going to get a big field for the King's Plate because My Boy Prince was going to be so dominant. Obviously, on that day, lost to Caitlin Her Greatness, who we'll also see. I think it's a little more wide open necessarily than you guys do in the Highlander Grade 2 stakes coming up at about 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Nice. Yeah, we'll dive into all that stakes action there. So we have different leans for the same races, so that's going to make for something interesting as we go along. JD, I want to get your thoughts. Race number 10, the Nassau Stakes. We see the return of Caitlin Her Greatness. I'm kind of leaning towards the number 10, Sweet Rebecca, a little bit. And then, Mikey, I'll go to your thoughts right after. But, JD, what are your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, I think Sweet Rebecca comes in for Chad Brown, and obviously is a much better horse with Lasix. 2 best turf performances we've seen from this horse have been on Lasix, including the last on a yielding turf course at Keeneland. My concern there is I think Sweet Rebecca is going to have to send. I think Dylan Davis's lone choice there is probably going to be to send from the outside. And I don't know what that trip looks like today and if that horse might tire out. I know Caitlin Her Greatness also wants to be on or near the lead. I do like her a lot in that spot. I would be heavily in a lean towards Caitlin Her Greatness being my best bet on the entire rest of the card. But obviously, a lot of class coming in with Sweet Rebecca, who's ran in some graded stakes in New York and, held her own.
Yeah, definitely a lot of class coming in from out of town, but Caitlin Her Greatness just kind of runs Woodbine. So she's definitely a force to be reckoned with. Mikey, what were your thoughts on the Nassau Stakes?
Yeah, Caitlin Her Greatness, I thought she really took a step forward from 3 to 4 with that race last time. She galloped in that race, never really looked a loser. Now gets the turf, but I do think that suits her. And the one turn, I think, suits her style also. And I do understand the Sweet Rebecca love and the fact that they're up here. I agree that I think the Lasix is a big reason why that she is here. And her class is going to be tested here too. I mean, she's sort of a Grade 2, Grade 3 also ran type, maybe more of a listed stakes type horse for Chad Brown. The fact that Dylan's here and he's, able to ride this horse, I think is important for her. But I'm on Caitlin Her Greatness. I think that she is the horse that has quite the 4-year-old here. You're lined up, and I think she's very interesting. As far as a horse, maybe from underneath, I thought Mission of Joy had a look as maybe an exacta partner. Now, with the way the track and like JD said, with the wind, that could be an issue because she likes to come from off of it. But I like her class. I like her style. I think that she has an interesting possibility maybe to split the top 2, and you can get a little value.
I like it. Mission of Joy. We'll certainly talk more about the Nassau Stakes as we approach, but 20 minutes to post for Woodbine race 6. That is an optional claiming race, non-winners of one other than. We're going 5 furlongs on the turf. JD, you were just touching on the wind factor that's going on at Woodbine today. There seems to be an abundance of speed in this turf sprint, which is not unusual. Do you think this is a scenario where those jockeys that are so familiar with how this course seems to play, do you think maybe they go a little too fast too early? Or is there anybody that stood out to you as we approach this race number 6?
Well, I think the most interesting part about that is we have a Wesley Ward runner that might be the fastest horse in the race. And you look at the jockey line for who is riding that. This is Victor Espinosa's debut at Woodbine. He had never ran at Woodbine before. So it's basically talking about this situation. Obviously, I think, Victor's been around a long time. He's been talking in the jocks room and he's been watching the races as they've unfolded today. But a lot of speed signed on. And I think the 5 is right there in that conversation and maybe the fastest horse in this race, talking about Blackfoot Daisy. So it'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, when you think Wesley Ward, you think, early speed, and that's certainly the case here with this one. But there's plenty of horses. Clarity drawn right to the inside, it's got a lot of pace. There's just a lot of pace signed on. So when I was handicapping this race a few days ago, my opinions are probably different than what they look like right now. And I think that's a good thing to talk about for folks at home. If they handicap races early and they see how a card's playing out, they see the conditions of a card, I don't think you should, necessarily always feel like you have to stick to your laurels. You shouldn't go crazy and go, opposite if you have a really strong opinion. But this is a case where if you were to get asked for my top pick in this race yesterday, probably a different story without scratches than today.
I like it. Mikey, what were your thoughts after some good insight there from JD?
And I do agree with him as far as, these Wesley Ward types, especially these Wesley Ward sprinters, typically pop the gate and just go. And that Gulfstream race, is very indicative of the kind of speed that this horse has. So, but the 2 looks really quick to me and probably controls the race. Now, was claimed for 32, back in April and then showed up on June the 7th and galloped there. This horse, I think, controls the race. We'll see what the 5 does. Victor isn't necessarily a speed rider either. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I I probably would have a hard time getting past the 2, especially given the circumstances that are going on right now. So that's just my theory.
Definitely. It looks like the 2 would be my top choice in here as well. Currently your favorite with the 5 Blackfoot Daisy, looking like your second choice at about 3-1. Yeah, the pick 5, as we mentioned, is going to kick off here. JD, how deep would you go if you're making a pick 5 ticket?
I'm looking really honestly at I would look 3 deep here. I think the 2 is a must include, and I think the 5 are a must include in case either of them are the speed of the speed and can really contain it. My top choice, probably in this circumstance, will be the 3 Clay Soldier. Last time out, really, got bumped a little after the start. This horse usually breaks on top and broke on top that day, but then settled back a little bit. And I wonder if that's going to be kind of the key to success. This horse settling a little bit and was able to find the winner's circle coming just off of it, which I still think is a successful way to go. And I think Rafi Hernandez, probably the headiest rider on the Woodbine grounds, studied that last ride from Edgar Zayas at Gulfstream and may try to do that when he sees how much speed is signed on here. Yeah, lots of break from the gate ones for the 3, but doesn't necessarily always get to the lead. So settles that horse, runs right off of it, settles the mare. And I think right now, especially, we're seeing 10-1 on the 3. I think the 3 is a must include in the sequence.
No doubt. Yeah, the 3 certainly provides really good value right now at 10-1. You brought up a good point. Those sprinters that can break really sharply out of the gate, but then can also relax, and they don't have to just go, 110% all the way around. They can learn to relax, rate that speed a little bit, and then come with their one run towards the end. Mikey, I'll pivot out to you. If you were creating a pick 5 ticket here, how deep would you go, and what horses would you use?
I mean, for me, I don't know. I don't know that I would use both the favorites in the race. I understand the 3 because you're getting value there. I mean, 10-1 right now, and a horse that has a different style than the top 2. I probably would be skinny with the 2 here. I just think that the 2 could be the horse that is the speed of the speed. And, if you're playing the track to be speed favoring, you got Savatgy there. I would probably try to shrink down, use the 2 only, maybe use the 3 as a backup if you're interested in that one. I would probably try to fade the 5 here. And maybe, you could spread out a little bit later. I mean, there's some other races in the sequence that I think call for some spread. This would be a race that I would want to shrink down, maybe just use the 2.
There we go. I like it. I don't mind tossing the 3 in there as well, but I like it just pressing up that strongest opinion, going with the 2. Worth mentioning, it's with that 20-cent base denomination. JD, when you play those pick 5s out at Woodbine, do you press it up a lot, or do you typically just stick with that 20 cent?
So it depends on the day, and I think the sequence. I think there is a chance that we could get some upsets here. We've got some big name horses. We have a whole bunch of horses that are, we've got the reigning Canadian Horse of the Year. We've got 5 other Canadian award winners on the rest of this card, and the local money is going to, favor those. So on days like today, I'm generally okay with playing the 20-cent base and maybe spreading a little bit more and using it because the payout still can be good on, a Saturday with only a couple stakes, or sometime during the week, I'll press it up for $1 on a pick 5 at Woodbine. There's a lot of value in being skinny and being right when you've got a 20-cent base wager. But on stakes days and big racing days and big racing cards like this Canada Day Racing Festival, I'm okay punching the 20-cent ticket. And there's always that repeat button if you want to get froggy at the end of it,
There is always that repeat button. You can play it as many times as your heart or bankroll desires. I mean, I certainly don't have a lot of hard knocks against those main Canadian, mainstays in terms of Patches O'Houlihan and Caitlin Her Greatness. I'm against a couple of the other favorites in race number 7 and race number 9. I don't really like Fantastic Again or Funtastic Again, the other Wesley Ward runner that comes up here. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. But yeah, I'm also going to be 2-3 to kind of start the pick 5 sequence off here. We'll touch on race number 7 before we bring the live stream up. But the race number 7 is the Grade.III Selene Stakes. They go 1 mile and a 16th over that synthetic course. I like a bit of a price in the number 2, Tis Her Money. I think can improve second off the bench for Mark Cassie. JD, what were your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, I think the middle mood we saw from Selene Savatgy last time proved the right move that day. I think if husbands can be a little closer today with Tis Her Money, I think she's probably the most likely upsetter of the favorites in this spot. Kind of have her, pegged as my third selection in this race, but a lot of talent for Cassie, and obviously Cassie's got a couple runners in. He's got 3 runners in here. We got a couple Josie Carrolls. We're kind of all over the map. We've got speed. We've got closers. We've got a little bit of everything in the Selene.
We do. Mikey, what were your thoughts on the Grade 3 Selene Stakes?
Well, initially, I mean, I was interested in the one, something about her, but because I thought there was plenty of speed to chase, and I thought that this horse could get the right trip, but it's concerning if the track profile isn't going to suit, because she's probably going to need every inch of it to get by these horses. And that's an issue now. I'm interested in the 3 No Time. Savatgy lands here. Last time controlled the race and really never looked a loser there. Just extended the margin. That one could get the front here and do something very similar. And there's some stretch outs in this race, so there could be company on the front end. I thought the 8 was interesting also at a price and out of trouble. Just a horse that shows up every time. 7 times in the money and 8 lifetime starts. I know only 1 win, but this horse is around it all the time and finds usually kind of a mid-pack kind of trip. I just thought a price that had a look. It's a tough race now, though. We'll see what happens with the track, with the speed. This would be a race I would probably need a bunch of them to try to get out of a pick 5.
Yeah, this race certainly seems like a spread race along with the Grade 3 for race number 9. The Grade 3 Dominion Day Stakes also seems like a bit of a spread race where you could go many different directions there depending on your opinion. We have 10 minutes. I believe horses are just getting saddled, so we'll pivot over to the live stream here in just a second. Let me just pull it up. And we'll talk about this race as we see the runners coming out onto the track. I'm just going to try and get my my feed to cooperate here. Let's see.
While you're working on that, I'll touch
on this particular turf
on
course, albeit against maidens.
Reflexivity is
hey, there's Jeff Pratt.
the field for Steve Turcotte.
And that last.
Sorry, go ahead, JD.
That did not go all that well.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. It's a mix on a stakes day at Woodbine, whether you see horses saddle inside or outside. It does look like everybody saddled inside in this race, but you do have 2 paddocks at Woodbine. So sometimes if you've got a quirky runner, it is interesting to note if you see them saddling the horse outside. But all of these appear to be saddled in the inner paddock, and everybody making a good account for themselves as they head to the track.
They're making their way out now. We got about 9 minutes to post for race number 6. Real quick, I'll get your last thoughts here. When you play, we'll just go through the field as we have 8 runners to talk about. We'll start on the rail. JD, anything nice to say about the number 1 Yamar coming off of a extensive layoff over a year?
I mean, the last time this horse ran this course and distance, it was a win with a bug aboard, obviously in much lower competition when Sophia Vivas still had her bug as the head apprentice rider in Canada last year. Has forward on today. That's about the positive thing I could say.
There we go. And then the number 2, Miss Vivienne, obviously a strong push by Mikey on this horse, or a strong play on Mikey for this horse in this spot here. I also like this, and JD has some love for it as well. Clay Soldier, we spoke about a good horse that can break sharp out of the gate, but also can relax and kind of rate that speed. Maybe Rafael Hernandez takes a page out of Edgar Zayas' book. Mikey, I'll go to you as we'll talk about the number 4, Sinclarity, for Kevin Attard and Moran.
Yeah, 3 straight wins. Slow figures there, but is beating everything that has been in with her so far. You get the grass, has to step up. It's taking money, though, 4-1 versus these horses. So I would say this horse is taking, from an 8-1 morning line, this horse is taking sneaky money in here. I'd say out of place money despite 3 straight wins. I know people see the ones and get excited, but this horse feels like it has some steam that I was a bit, it was just unexpected for me.
Yeah. I share your thoughts there. Just with again, yeah, three wins, which you like to see, but again, the speed figures pretty much no matter what system you use look to be coming up a little bit light, but taking some sneaky money here. We spoke about the 5 Blackfoot Daisy. JD, obviously you are our kind of resident Woodbine follower here. You mentioned that this is the debut of Victor Espinoza up at the Woodbine Thoroughbred Racetrack. How do you think his kind of riding style is going to fit up here? And do you anticipate it's going to take him more than a couple races to kind of get acclimated? Or do you think we could see this horse in the winner's circle on his debut ride?
I mean, this is a great question. And really, you have to like take multiple steps back because it's been a few years since Victor Espinoza has even rode for Wesley Ward. So the connection of these two coming together and him coming out this late in his, Hall of Fame career to come up to Woodbine and run is very interesting. I think obviously, given the current jockey colony, I think he comes in and he can be competitive right away if he's been paying attention and can get the right foot. I also think I was trying to also find this. I was trying to figure out the last time that Espinoza ran on a synthetic course for later, because he's going to be doing that. So just kind of a lot of interesting things around it. But I think Blackfoot Daisy is a use here for me. I know Mikey's a little lean on it, but I think he could show up and help this filly get across the board. The 6 Old Blondie, obviously Martin Drexler is kind of the king of the claiming game at Woodbine and really around tracks around the country to bring horses to Woodbine or to claim at Woodbine. But the claim and hold is not something he's particularly known for. So I think I'd like to see Old Blondie run a couple times here. But I do think the 7 Shooting Amy can hit the board here. Hasn't exactly embarrassed herself in the career. Has a couple nice runs with David Morin up and David, the father of Pietro Morin, who is riding the Force and Clarity in this race. He's got a chance here. And just a footnote here, if you're following along with your past performances, Paul Buttigieg was the former trainer, and obviously, we sadly lost Paul in April. Ricky Hayashi has been the longtime assistant for him, and actually it's been kind of a combination meet where Paul would come out in the morning and Ricky would actually come and saddle the horses. So even though you see this is the first for a new trainer here, it's the same barn. It's the same guy that's been saddling Shooting Amy for all 5 previous starts. So no big concern here. And I think if one of the speed horses falters at the end, Shooting Amy, then 3rd or 4th, at a very long number, makes complete sense to me for trying super players looking to key a horse on the back end.
I like it. That's a great shout on a 24-1 price in the number 7 Shooting Amy. Last horse we'll talk about is the number 8 Reflexivity, a horse I'm vaguely familiar with following the New York circuit, previously trained by Bill Morey. Second time in the barn for Steven Chirkop. Hopefully I pronounced that at least close. This is one that certainly has some early foot. Didn't really show it last time out on the synthetic, but that was also off a little bit of a layoff or a rather substantial layoff. So you think this one has a lot of chances to improve second off the layoff? We'll go to you, Mikey.
This is speed type. So, yeah, I do think that really probably couldn't be much worse than she was last time. She's got Emma Jane Wilson riding. We'll see what she does coming out of the gate. She could fall into an interesting trip here behind the top 2 speed types. She's got a little bit of class to her, 3 lifetime wins. She's a little sneaky for me. I mean, maybe this is the kind of horse that, you could use on tickets, like a deep backup. I don't know. Interesting. The last one was pretty bad. That's the problem for me. That was a tough, but, it was a prep. It was 3-1 in that race, though. So somebody thought that this horse was ready to go, and she wasn't. We'll see what happens here. And, it's just a maybe for me. That's all.
Yeah, it's a maybe for me as well. And just I feel like maybe 6 furlongs is probably her best distance, at least on the grass. 5 might be a little too sharp for her. She obviously was in pretty razor sharp form when she was in the Bill Morey barn. So we'll see if she can take another step forward, second off the bench now for the new trainer, Sheer Cop. Again, 2 minutes to post here, so we'll kick off this pick 5. We've talked about just about every race. JD, I want to get your quick thoughts on race number 9. The only race we really haven't talked about, that's the Grade 3. I am forgetting the name again. Dominion Day.
Dominion Day. Just think your favorite terrible 90s movie, Demolition, or wow, I even screwed up that name up. Okay, we're gonna go away from that joke when we're talking. I'm off the reservation here. Fashly Fab is my top pick. Obviously the female trying the boys here. Champion older main track female, which rolls off the tongue, but Canadian champion in 2024, Fashly Fab. Obviously very disappointing last time out in the Balmahone. Losing obviously to Caitlin Her Greatness, but not really being in at the end. But I think given the setup for this race, I mean, Fashly Fab should be right off for male counterparts, make one run at the end. I think how the track is playing suits Fashly Fab perfectly. Fashly Fab's my top choice in this spot. I think Classic Motown also was a horse I liked a little more earlier in the week. It'll be interesting to see how close Echelon Flores is to the pace. It's been impressive. The Eclipse performance was impressive, winning a Grade 2 last time up. And this has really been a case of this horse was down at Gulfstream Park and really was the head of kind of that weird optional claiming game at Gulfstream Park for a long time. Safi Joseph, Robert DeBona, names we're used to in South Florida, but really has found a second career in Woodbine and been very, very competitive.
That's excellent. Excellent to know there. That's a nice 6-1 on the morning line. Mikey, did you have any thoughts there as we're approaching post time here for race number 6?
I thought this was a very difficult race because it's tough to gauge Fantastic again, and that horse shows up by appointment only. Has lots of Grade 1 solid lines, and then shows up here, has synthetic lines that fit very well, but you're going to deal with Victor. I do think the fact that he's here, he was entered in other spots, shows up, I do think we'll be on the front and we'll have to be caught, but there's other speed in the race here. Essex Serpent's in the race. That's pretty quick. I think it's a tough race. I can see Fly the W at a big price. That horse likes synthetics, ships up here for Drexler. I know that he loves Gulfstream, but he has 21 lifetime wins. So he'd be a horse I'd use on the ticket. I thought Classic Motown was an interesting horse for Drexler also. Just won the Eclipse from off the pace. Maybe that this is a racetrack that this horse, is excels over and can beat these type of horses. This is a Grade 2, Grade 3 type of horse. I like anything Drexler really throws out there. There's enough speed that this horse maybe can get the right trip. So it's a wide open race, though. You could talk me into anything in there.
It is a wide open race. They're loading into the gate now for race number 6. We'll get more thoughts on race number 9. But good luck to everybody. Mikey and I are on the number 2. And then JD, correct on the number 5, Blackfoot Daisy.
Yep. And then 3 also I think has got a good shot. So I'm playing 5 underneath the 3. And some funky combinations there, and have 2, 3, 5 in the opening leg of my pick 5 here.
I like it. Good luck to everybody that's playing along and all your wagers. We'll let Robert Geller load the rest of the field and give us.
Followed along by Shootin' Amy as Old Blondie pulls back. 7-year-old Old Blondie has gone in. Shootin' Amy. The 4-year-old walks up, and the last will be Reflexivity to the outside gate for Emma Jane Wilson. Stand by for a start. Reflexivity completing the line. They're in the gate, all in and locked up. On their way, a tremendous start. Back at the tail end, Sinclarity, and going to the front, Miss Vivian narrowly. Pushing up the inside is Yamar. Away nicely, Shootin' Amy, and Blackfoot Daisy is attending the pace, rushing after this leader. And Handy Clay Soldier just behind them, and wider Reflexivity. Second last, Old Blondie, and last is Sinclarity. Miss Vivian shows the way by a length to Blackfoot Daisy, and Yamar third with Clay Soldier. Out wider, Shootin' Amy. The widest Reflexivity as they go round the turn 3 in front of Old Blondie, and 6 away last is Sinclarity. Racing to the final quarter in front, Miss Vivian is head on the chest here, 2 lengths. Blackfoot Daisy sharing second, coming up the inside, Yamar and Clay Soldier. Clay Soldier going into second spot, Yamar the rail behind, and then Old Blondie in the clear. Miss Vivian out by 3 or 4 lengths. Down the set of the track is Old Blondie. Sinclarity making good ground. from a mile back. But what a big lead, Miss Vivian. That's been the order of the day on the Bet365 Inner Turf. They just can't catch her. Miss Vivian wins. Scores by about 3.5 lengths. Make it 4. Sinclarity, a very good second. And third place Soldier. Then Old Blondie, Reflexivity, Yamaha.
Well, we see that the number 2, Miss Vivian, runs pretty much off the screen. Some late closers kind of making up a little bit of ground late, but you heard Robert Geller in the call. That's kind of the theme of the day, was what he was saying, that once they're up front, it's hard to make up any ground substantially to catch those front runners.
Could maybe bet the 4 back out of that race. That was a nice race for that one, especially from off of it. Got the grass first time. Tough. I mean, I think you could bet the 4 back out of that race pretty easily.
Definitely. That 4 is a real racehorse. I mean, we were talking about this in the post parade. 3 for 3 to start the career, some light figures, but was taking some money. Ended up floating up, and I believe going off at 9-1. But made up substantial late ground and really finished off nicely. So one to look forward to next time out. Oh, I think you're muted, JD.
I am muted. Had to really steady out of the gate too. So Pietro Morin did a good job keeping the horse ready, and then we saw a closing kick, which is something we hadn't seen before. And that's honestly the most we've seen anybody close in the stretch as well. It was good enough for second, beaten 5.5 maybe, but it was somebody closing into the speed. So interesting to note for the rest. But yeah, there was no catching Miss Vivian once she got the easy fraction, and once the 5 was struggling a little bit to keep up.
Yeah, she put in the number 5, Blackfoot Daisy, put in a bit of a run, ended up fading out late. But Miss Vivian broke so sharp, and that was pretty much all she wrote. About 200 yards out of the gate, she had a clear lead. And again, we're going to keep coming back to that track profile for today with the wind in effect. That it made it almost impossible to make up that substantial amount of ground. Catching things up on just the racing world everywhere else, as we are all racing fans. Torpedo Anna, the Grizzly Bear, just won at 1-4 in the Fleur de Lis Stakes down at Churchill, so she's back to her winning ways. That kicked off the that 20-cent pick 6 that they have going on with the massive carryover. Pretty safe to say that even through one race, I would be shocked if that thing paid to a single ticket today.
Nope, would close out tomorrow on closing day if not hit. So I think it's a strong note. I mean, it's a completely different story than yesterday at Churchill, where you had price after price after price to start. Story at Churchill today was Jose Ortiz won the first 4 races on the card, so he's been absolutely on fire. I believe he's got 14 or 15 wins this week at Churchill. It's been pretty crazy.
It's absurd
for Jose.
He is on a run of all runs, a generational run, you may even call it. Yeah, this week has been nuts for him. The pick 6 you mentioned, yesterday was really competitive, starting off with a couple of long shots. Wednesday and Thursday, both final legs had single ticket payouts, and one ended up being a complete carryover. The other ended up paying out something like $110,000. So looking forward to tomorrow as its mandatory payout. But to pivot back to Woodbine, we're wrapping up race number 6. It was the last non-stakes race that we'll talk about for today's Woodbine card for Canada Day Racing Festival. Next up, we have the Grade.III Selene Stakes, one that we touched on a little bit earlier, but not in too much detail. They go 1 mile and a 16th on the synthetic. It's for 3-year-old fillies, purse of $150,000. Your morning line favorite is on the rail, number 1, Something About Her, for Brendan Walsh and Moran in the saddle. Do you think this is a good favorite, Mikey, or do you think this is one that we can try and beat in the sequence?
Well, again, as I said earlier, I thought this horse had a big chance to win, given the setup of this race, but given the wind and the track so far, I think this is a very good opportunity to oppose this horse, who likes to come from off the pace. Would need everything to go perfectly correct for her to win, unless maybe she decides to change her style. And looking at her, she's nowhere near the lead in any one of her races. She's typically pretty far back and makes one run. So the day you have to adjust to racetracks and weather and scenarios. So this would be a horse that you'd have to oppose, I think. And if she beats you, that's fine. Maybe things change or something happens. But at a short price, I'd be looking for alternatives.
JD, what are your thoughts? Good favorite, vulnerable favorite, especially with the way the track's playing.
I think vulnerable favorite. I think was very close last time to the pace, and that was kind of a new thing that I don't think we can bank on here. Pietro will obviously need to break better than he did on Sinclarity in the last run, but I think she's got some talent and she's got a good turn of foot. But I worry about how far back she'll be. I mean, if she's mid pack in this race, she's not going to have a chance, and if she's too close, that's maybe not necessarily the best trip for her on a good day. So it'll be interesting to see. Brendan Walsh, runs a little bit here, but it is interesting to see a Walsh horse in back-to-back starts, because what we mostly see at Woodbine in that case with the stakes type horse is kind of the temporary switch, like you see with the 5 Serendipity, where Ellen J. Foxwoods goes from Brad Cox temporarily to Josie Carroll at Woodbine, and Josie will be training the horse for as long as Serendipity is on the grounds, and then that horse will ship back down to Brad Cox forever, wherever Brad will run her next in the States. So is interesting. My top pick there is kind of an interesting one in that just opened absolutely dead on the board, double the morning line. That's the 4 Madame Obey. Talk a little bit about the King Corey last time. She was going against the boys, and Church and State obviously didn't perform the best a couple races ago in the Marine to flatter the form, but I do think Madame Obey can sit that tracking trip right behind the speed here and get a chance going back against the fillies today. This daughter of Tiz the Law out of Carson City, Dam City Sister seems to want more distance, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to get it. Half sibling I Declare War was 2-2-1, so 2 wins, 2 places, and a show and 5 routes at Golden Gate, running in kind of their top allowance conditions a few years ago. So I think Madame Obey certainly fits here, and we're getting 12-1 right now.
I like it, certainly stretching out. You can expect this one to be forwardly placed, which would be a key place for this horse to be on a track like today. JD, when a track plays like this, if we see this wind having an effect, is it a matter of a jockey maybe has to make their move a little bit earlier, kind of around that far turn, or is it just kind of whoever's in front as they enter the far turn is typically?
Yeah, you'll see it work a little differently in a route versus a sprint, because they will have the entire backstretch to have the wind at their back. So essentially here, they're going to try to save a little bit and try to find that right position. They don't need to send hard, because obviously it'll be a little easier for the horse with how much the wind's blowing behind them. And then you need to be right where you want to be right as you enter the turn here. And obviously we were seeing the inner turf kind of as you go further out on the course at Woodbine. So the inner turf is obviously the old harness track, and then you have the main track, and then you have the EP Taylor turf course outside of it. The further out you get, the less it matters, because you have a more gradual turn. But you will see a bit of jockey for position, and then eventually you will see a situation on the card where everybody will just send, and somebody will finally be able to close in, not because there's not still a wind-aided bias, but the horses up front are just way too tired to continue.
Yeah, eventually we'll see that. Who knows what race? Another, to stick on the subject of the Woodbine courses, I understand they're going to be doing some work, some renovations to the EP Taylor turf course. Do you know when those are supposed to take place, and what are they doing to it during their renovations?
Yeah, so the traditional turf festival that's normally in September is being moved up to August to match with the King's Plate. And the essential thing is so that they have more time to work on it. So we're going to go a full year without the EP Taylor turf course. So the idea is after they get some of their key win-in-your-in Breeders' Cup races off the calendar in 2025, we're going to start the rehab. And again, it's going to be very similar to when we've seen turf course complete teardowns and redos at various other tracks. It's going to take a while. And obviously this is a track they use a lot. So they're going to make sure that they get the same irrigation system and the same drainage that they have on the inner turf, because obviously they took that inner turf and was able to work on it when harness racing left. And they want to do that same thing to the outer turf course and make some adjustments as well to the crowning of the turf course. Make sure that it's a fair surface that hopefully can be opened up a little bit earlier in the season and go a little later in the season. So we will be about a year and probably 3 or 4 months without the EP Taylor turf course, which is why that inner turf course is important. But lots of other things going on at Woodbine. Metro Stop was announced finally, and something that I know Jim Lawson and everybody at Woodbine's been working on for a long time. The main public transit system, Woodbine, if you're not familiar with it, it's right by the airport in Toronto, and public transit passes the track, and then you get off at the next stop, and then there's shuttles that take you to the track. So that's going to be a huge thing. And one of the things that's also going to change is they're going to move some of the barns and one of the dirt training track as part of that process so that they can have a natural funnel and have the ability to have that train station attached to the hotel, casino, and racetrack at Woodbine. So exciting news announced in Toronto this week. And just if you haven't been to Woodbine lately, full casino, hotel, big concert venue on site, just a unique place to watch a horse race.
Very exciting. Thank you for all that insight for what's new out at Woodbine Racecourse. Yeah, I'll have to get out there probably after the new EP Taylor turf course is put in, so I can see it in all of its glory. Get out there sometime maybe next year. Yeah, that's amazing, and also great convenience addition to add a stop and add a natural funnel into the race course instead of having to use the
JD real
shuttles.
quick.
Go ahead.
Like with that coming in, I mean, obviously with Toronto, the big problem is traffic. It seems like so. That should certainly make that irrelevant if you can be dropped off right there. That seems like something that would be fantastic. I've been up there a couple of times, and it seems like the traffic is the huge problem.
Yeah, as Pearson has grown, obviously Toronto had 2 airports that were equally used for a long time, and now the majority of air travel is out of Pearson. And the funny part is, for flights landing west-east, so going similar way to the wind today, you'll actually see occasionally it lines up where a plane will be landing, and you'll have the shadow of a plane over the finish line when things are going. So it's that close to the airport. So airport traffic, no matter where you go in the country, airport traffic's bad. Okay, maybe Lexington. Okay, that might be the lone example where it's actually easier because everybody wants to make a right to go to Keeneland, and you can make a left to go to the airport. But it's going to make things a whole lot easier for people to go out there. And obviously there's a lot going on that Woodbine property, and it's all brand new and sparkly, and they continue to renovate some of the areas in the track itself. Beautiful place to be and to enjoy some horse racing and enjoy racing from throughout the country. I kind of like the on-track people. For those that haven't been there, to me it's like a fancier track that still kind of has like those Aqueduct diehard guys on the rail. It's kind of got a mix of both worlds, and that's one of the reasons why I love it, and I call it my home track despite living like 2,900 miles away from it.
I look forward to getting out there to visit it one day. Yeah, airport traffic never makes anything easier. Before we pick back up for the race number 7, the Grade 3 Selene Stakes, Mike, you just want to touch base. What do you have going on in the coming weeks as we get ready for like the July 4th Racing Festival at Saratoga, and then a lot of other really good racing for the summer starts to ramp up?
For myself or for In the Money? What are you thinking there?
Both. Oh,
well, for In the Money, lots of big stuff going on. Of course, we'll have big Saratoga coverage, but a couple of new things. We have the Iowa Festival of Racing, so Prairie Meadows. We picked that up. We're going to cover that on ITM, so that's something new for the channel. Horseshoe Indy's another thing. Indiana Derby's on its way. Colonial picking back up. Lots of coverage on the network there. Of course, typical Kentucky Downs, Keeneland, all that's is very present on the network. The Saratoga Dome, our summer meets, and all the big races will get full blown coverage. For myself, it's I'm a harness guy too, so the Hambo is something it's very for me very prominent. The Jug is something that I'm interested in every year on the harness side. So, perhaps I might show up at the Meadowlands Pace at the Meadowlands too. That's a race that I like to show up at. So, and then we'll see. I'm going to try to get to Saratoga, maybe try to come out to Del Mar to see you guys. You never know where I'll turn up, but I'm always looking to do things. And I'm 24/7 racing, especially within the money. So thoroughbred, standardbred, pretty much four-legged animals. I'm all over it, all over. Every day we're doing something.
I love it. You mentioned, if you ever get out to Del Mar, obviously text me, text Jackson. We'll be out there pretty much every day that they race, especially myself. I'm about 20 minutes away, so there's no reason for me to not be there enjoying Del Mar during their summer meet. You mentioned you guys are going to be covering some Prairie Meadows, and our next guest is going to be Eric DeCoster, who's going to join us in about 15-20 minutes, also within the money, also working at Prairie Meadows, but also obviously an avid horse racing fan who will get to join us. The Indiana Derby coming up next Saturday, a week from today, July 5th. On Thursday, myself, Dan Torgman, and I believe another guest are going to be covering that card and going through the sequence, and of course highlighted by that Indiana Derby. And then a week from today, I'll be right back on the screen for our Indiana Derby live show with live coverage and live racing from Horseshoe Indy. So I'm excited for that. JD, we'll check in with you. What do you have going on for the summer, whether it's racing plans, content, whatever you got going on? What are you up to?
Well, I'm doing the Indiana Derby show with you next week, so that'll be fun.
Yes, you are.
Always look forward to doing that at Horseshoe Indy, and the folks out there doing a great job, and also excited for Prairie Meadows. I mean, Altoona, Iowa, right down the road from where I went to college. I spent a lot of time there, probably too much time there as opposed to going to classes, but neither here nor there. Other than that, focused on Woodbine as we get ready for some of the big winning your in races, and obviously the Canadian Triple Crown coming up, and obviously the true test of the Canadian Triple Crown, where you have a synthetic race, a dirt race, and a turf race. Really takes a horse to do that and to handle all three of those surfaces properly. So it's a true test and a lot of fun. Obviously, it's shifted a little bit calendar wise, and it seems to be kind of the new standard that we're going with August for the King's Plate going forward. Change up the meet a little bit at Woodbine, but still excited to cover that. And that's essentially what I'm doing, other than my shadow roles in racing that I'm not allowed to talk about on the air.
I like it. Hey, change is good. Moving the King's Plate up a little bit, getting the schedule shifted. The Canadian Triple Crown, always one that's fun to follow. Obviously, I remember a couple years back when a Canadian horse by the name of Moira tried to complete the Canadian Triple Crown, ended up shipping it down to Del Mar last year, won the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And while we're on the subject, we were just speaking about, we have a couple high-ranking, high-name, or big-name, I should say, Canadian stabled horses in Patches O'Houlihan and Caitlin Her Greatness. JD, do you anticipate that if they continue on with their racing form and staying healthy, do you anticipate we see either or both of them out in Del Mar this fall?
Yeah, I think really with Caitlin Her Greatness, I mean, she ran well in the QE2 at Keeneland in the fall last year, and they decided to ship back up to the Maple Leaf instead of and help win that Canadian Filly of the Year, because that's one of the key things is those Canadian awards are important, but it's only the races that are run in Canada that matter. So she hadn't quite locked that up. So getting one more win, since she kind of got off to a late start in Canada because she was running in the States mostly, it was important to her. I definitely would see Caitlin Her Greatness kind of following in the footsteps of Moira and taking on the female population in the Breeders' Cup and some of the other races there. Patches, it's going to be really weird to say for the reigning Canadian Horse of the Year. I don't necessarily know at this point if they know exactly what the best distance for Patches is. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the question mark here is I think there's been a lot of chatter about, trying to see if if 6.5 is where they want to be, or if they want to run 5, if they want to try dirt. Lots of questions there. So I think the idea is that they want to try Patches down on U.S. soil. I just don't know the surface and the distance at this point, because obviously been such a strong, synthetic horse. But do you go after, you've got limited options. You got Presque Isle Masters.
Yeah.
If you're just looking for synthetic. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think what we're really kind of seeing today in where they're choosing to run patches is like, hey, like turf sprints, is this something where we think we can compete down in the US? And I think with the horses scheduled to go, I think it's going to be a good test.
Yeah, I think
What
this will
about
be
the
a really
racing
good
factor, JD, with him? Is that an issue? Because, I mean, if he'd go anywhere else running a stake, he'd have to be off Lasix.
Yeah, and it's what the toughest part to say is it's an unknown because we see that giant L in front of every on every running line so far for patches. So I haven't heard Robert Tiller specifically give an answer related to that. He's kind of played coy with it, so it could be a concern as well. If we were looking at some of those bigger spots in the U.S., it's a great point, and I don't think we have clear guidance in terms of what that looks like at this stage.
Yeah, just looking at his overall run style and body of work, obviously he handles the turf fine. I think maybe, synthetic obviously is kind of where he shines, but down the hill at Santa Anita seems to be the place where I think going that 6.5, I think that would it can kind of, elongate a horse that's normally at 6 furlongs, get them that extra half just because you have gravity kind of working with you. And I mean, his early speed is lethal. So I don't think the Breeders' Cup is going back to Santa Anita for a few years, so we probably won't get the chance to see patches in any, grade ones going down the hill. But they have a couple nice ones, so if you ever wanted to test it out, I know Santa Anita would love it.
We'd love to see a rematch that we saw late last year between patches and no balls. I mean, that's speed of the speed, mano a mano. We'd love to see it one more time. Somewhere.
That was a stellar matchup. I half expected no balls to ship up here after seeing his last race. Thought they might kind of follow each other around, or no balls might follow up to Canada rather, and try and take patches on. But maybe we'll see them again face off later on in the year, maybe even back in November in the Kennedy Road one more time. All right, we are approaching about 8 minutes to post for race number 7, the Grade 3 Selene Stakes. We'll throw the feed back up here in just a moment, and then we'll go through as they are again 8 minutes to post for race number 7. Your current favorite is Something About Her, the rail runner down in post number 1, who we've talked about just about every runner in the field. My top pick, we'll go through him one more time, is the number 2, Tis Her Money. I think can just really improve second off the bench for Mark Cassidy. I love these 3-year-old Tis the Laws. They've been running on pretty much everything that they've gotten the chance to run on. So I want to give this one a chance. It worries me a little bit about the pace scenario. This one doesn't have a whole lot of early speed, so it might be something where I want to spread out a little bit in horizontals to try and use, a couple of them. We talked about the number 3 at No Time, who, Mikey, was that your top pick in here?
Yeah, initially it was the 1, but now I'd probably pivot to the 3. Just given the scenario that we talked about, I think the 3 is the most likely horse to be up close, and I like that race last time. So I'd shift to No Time. It's 3.5 to 1 right now. I think it's fair enough.
I like it. I think that's definitely fair enough. And JD, your top pick, Madame Obey, still at a nice 11 to 1 on the line. Now we talk all the time, us in racing, about that they knew money. Is this a situation where you think this horse is a little too cold on the board and that gives you kind of a reason for pause, or is this something where you just get a better price on a horse that you really like?
Yeah, I'm not somebody who buys into the I should be complaining that I'm going to get more money if my horse wins factor. I look at this as, it's a pari-mutuel game. It's my money against your money. And in a perfect world, I would like horses and no one else would like them, and all my horses will go up at 99 to 1. That's how I look at it. So I don't really factor in, when we're looking at a field like this, that there are varying opinions. And I think it's a tough thing to grasp. And the sneakiness of, and maybe even the general public not realizing that you've got a female horse that ran very competitively against male stakes company last time. Unless, somebody points that out for somebody on a forum, that may not necessarily be something that 30 or 40% of horse players even notice when looking over this horse. So I think that's one of the key angles here for why you like the horse. Because if you look at the running lines, maybe even if you look at the speed figures in a bubble, needs some improvement. But I think we're seeing that improvement, and I think one of the key angles that I like to see for an improvement with a younger horse is they tried the boys early, and now they're going to get back to the female population, and we see it with horses like Moira, Caitlin, or Greatness. These are horses that won the King's Plate or the Queen's Plate, depending on the timing of it, and were running against females, stepped up against the males, and ran really well. I mean, you have to look at Caitlin or Greatness last year. She even won the Oaks. She finished second in the Oaks and then won the King's Plate. So she improved, and I really like that angle with the 4 here. I'm shocked to see the 1 still favored here, but I think the 1's got a lot of talent. I just find it difficult for the 1 to win based on how the race is going to set up.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. I want to stick on the filly versus the boys topic for just a second. We see it sometimes in the United States, or in the stateside where all of us are, where the fillies will take on the boys. A lot of times it's by a trainer by the name from a trainer with the name of Wesley Ward, who will throw his kind of 2-year-old, 3-year-old fillies, sometimes older, against the boys. It seems to be a much more kind of common, much more reoccurring, especially in stakes company, that the fillies will take on the boys. JD, do you have any thoughts to why that is? I mean, they certainly have their fair share of success.
Well, I think the U.S. is the outlier. I think the rest of the world, you see female horses run against male horses much more often. Now, most of the rest of the world is still running on a handicap system where you'll see a massive weight break for a female horse running against the males, and that allows some equality to it. What we see in Canada isn't necessarily the handicapping. It's more about a lot of the big races being Ontario-bred Canadian horse races, to where you can breed and have a very expensive female and a very expensive male, and they're going to be based on the current generations and how they fall. They're going to be pretty similar, especially early on in their career. Now, as they grow, you do see in Canada that there will be horses that go away, which is why it's interesting that I'm actually disproving my feature with Fabulous Fab being my top selection in the Dominion Day Stakes, but as a 5-year-old mare. But generally speaking, 3-year-olds, it's competitive. You see it often in quarter horse racing as well. At 2 and 3, the females, especially early on in the 3-year-old campaign, the females actually sometimes mature quicker than the males do. They're competitive, but then there will be a breaking point where the males will grow into their future selves and be able to beat the females. But I do think definitely, 3-year-old campaigns in Canada, we've seen it time and time again. I mean, compared to the Kentucky Derby, I believe we're at like 28, 29 fillies that have won the King's or Queen's Plate, the longest continuous running stakes race in North America. So I do think there should be, honestly, a case of, more fillies trying the Kentucky Derby, because we have seen some success and some very talented horses give it a try and, succeed in the very early stages of the race, but we haven't seen it in quite a while.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think we need to see more fillies go up against the boys, because especially in that in the 2-year-old, 3-year-old season, sometimes those fillies just are a little bit more mature, a little quicker. It's something that I would certainly like to see a lot more of. And that was a good answer. I do think that maybe we are a little bit in the we are the minority when it comes to doing that, because that is
I do have a couple points to make on this.
Go for it,
if
Mikey.
You don't mind, Ryan, just because in the U.S. it is different, but the thing about in the U.S. is the money is very similar between the fillies and the males. I mean, it's not a huge difference, and there's no real. I do think there's not a lot of incentive to run a lot of these the girls against the boys there, because that black type and the breeding. I mean, a lot of these operations race to breed now, and to get that black type, against what I would think would be, softer races against their own kind is very much more important. So you just don't see it that much. Whereas in Europe, I mean, it's a different game over there. And in Canada, yeah, you see a lot of the fillies against the boys in the Oaks, and the Queen and King's Plate. But for the Derby in the U.S., the point system make it difficult for fillies to get into it. I mean, that's a huge problem. They have to, get points for the Derby in the U.S. So to be able to get even into the Derby for fillies, it's not an easy road. I mean, So, and you saw last year with her Pinot Noir, yeah, she showed up in the Travelers and raced very well. But beyond that, I mean, really, there's not a lot of incentive, I think, in the U.S. market for, the face-to-face the boys, unless you're jumping in the Breeders' Cup Mile or you're jumping into a race like that. So that's just my thoughts on it. I just don't think that there's enough to push these operations into pushing their horses harder than they have to. So that would be my thought on that.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, no, I completely forgot about the point system that we have. That is a little bit silly and maybe outdated. And we can talk about the point reduction stuff later. But yeah, they do need to beat the boys a couple times in order to get to the Derby if Phillies did. But either way, they're loading into the gate for the 7th at Woodbine. I am on the number 2. JD is on the number 4, and Mikey is on the number 3. Good luck to everybody in their wagers. And after this race, we have a couple other guests that we will bring on to join us the rest of the way.
Nicely turned out at a big price. Ella It Is goes up. Now there are 2 back, Crystal Air, and to the outside gate is Not a Trouble. Stand by for a start. This field is now all in. Locked. On their way, and that was a perfect start in the Selene Stakes, and going straight to the front, Serendipity. Away sharply, No Time. Handy Madame Obey. Not a Trouble coming across well from the outside and skimming the rails. Something about her just on the inside is mid-pack. And then came Ella It Is, Crystal Air. The trail about 3 behind this, 'Tis Her Money. Showing the way out the stretch is Serendipity. No Time fighting the riders slightly and getting forward. Not a Trouble into second spot. Relaxing well with the neck down is Madame Obey. Tucked away is Something About Her on the inside midfield. A length behind them came Ella It Is, 'Tis Her Money, and last of all is Crystal Air. Showing the way without any pressure is Serendipity for Rafael Hernandez. It leads by about a length to Not a Trouble. 1 away third is No Time. A length and a half, Madame Obey. Something About Her coming forward on the inside. 2 to Ella It Is, Crystal Air the outer. And last is 'Tis Her Money. Racing towards the half mile with Serendipity relaxed in the lead by a length to Not a Trouble. No Time on the inside. A length away, Madame Obey. There's been no moves at all. Something About Her on the inside from Crystal Air, 'Tis Her Money. And last of all is Ella It Is. They race to the 3/8 and Serendipity has every reason to go on. Not a Trouble's making a bid for the lead, but Serendipity quickening. And as they sprint down towards the 5/16, she and Not a Trouble raced away, coming into the clear. Something About Her and is 3 behind as they corner. And Serendipity leads into the stretch in the Selene Stakes. Not a Trouble About Her, and coming home well is 'Tis Her Money right out wide on the track, and well clear Serendipity marched away. 'Tis Her Money tearing home at the rate of knots. Right down the outside is flying home, but Serendipity stole a winning break and a beautiful winning ride. Rafael Hernandez, Serendipity by 2.5 lengths. 'Tis Her Money second, a similar margin. Something About Her third. No Time was fourth from Madame Obey. Not a Trouble.
My bad, I was muted.
You're muted, yeah.
I was certainly muted. I was just going to say, yep. I was just saying, yeah, Serendipity, your winner at 5-2. Tough to make up any ground. The 2, 'Tis Her Money, and the 1, Something About Her, put in respective runs, made up some ground, but Serendipity kind of spurted away at the top of the stretch, and you could tell it was just about over.
Speed.
On another day, your 2 wins that race. I'm just saying.
Yep, on another day. Maybe next time I'll play that one back. Might not get 8-1 anymore, but I'll watch for that. I'll add that one to the stable. Wait for that one to come back. We've seen a couple underneath second place finishers make up some substantial ground, but well behind runaway winners. As again, the number 5 Serendipity gets the money at 5-2. Mikey, I understand you have a busy Saturday, and I want to thank you for joining us for the first hour of the program here. So. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing everything you do on In the Money moving forward, and obviously hope to have you back on one of our shows again in the future.
Absolutely appreciate you guys having me for sure, and nice to see Eric DeCoster jumping in, and the mayor is here too.
That's
SPN
right.
in the house, so both those guys, we'll be they're better than me. So I'll see you guys soon.
Take care, Mikey. Appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
JD, you are more than welcome to hang with us if you'd like to chat Woodbine the rest of today. I will totally go on your schedule there, but I'm going to go ahead and bring in a couple of our other guests that are going to join us for at least the next hour. We'll start off. It's the mayor. It's Sean Patrick Nolan. What's going on? How are you, Sean?
Hey, buddy. How are you? Hey, JD. How are you, my man?
Good to see you, SPN.
Great to see you. We saw Ryan a couple of weeks ago with the Belmont with Sovereignty.
That's
That was
right.
pretty cool. Yeah. Now we're going to do some great stuff, and got my King's Plate shirt on and got the Catherine Day Phillips hat on.
Word.
Look at this. Great people think alike. We're ready to go. Love it.
You guys.
I'm drinking out of my King's Plate chalice too.
Oh, that's impressive. Love
That's
it.
a step above.
King's Plate.
That's what JD brings to the table. He brings everything from the
nothing but class. Nothing but class. Love it.
Our next guy also brings nothing but class. He's working out at Prairie Meadows, where they have started their racing season. Also does some work for In the Money. Also an excellent handicapper that's going to join us for these Woodbine Stakes. It's Eric DeCoster. Eric, what's going on, my man? Good to see you again.
Good to see you guys. Happy to be on and chat some Woodbine.
Hey,
absolutely. All right, so SPN.
You have an inquiry,
Eric,
by the way. I wanted to point that out.
Oh, we do.
Fourth against first.
Ooh.
We do. Hey, I wouldn't mind a DQ. You can put my you can put his or money up if you'd like.
Move up Pietro.
That's right. That's right. And while we get caught up on the inquiry here, SPN and Eric, I want to check in with you. SPN, I'll go to you first. Busy day of racing across the country today. How's your day been going? Anything you like a little bit later on? Obviously, at Woodbine, we'll talk about that. But around the country, we have stakes races left and right.
Oh my God! I mean, could you get a better Stephen Foster than this? Is almost like a Breeders' Cup like race. You know how good it is. But I've been watching those races. There's been a lot of speed down there. Sierra Leone fans can't be very happy about the way that track is playing. But I say until you beat the champ, you got to beat the champ. And I think Mystic Dan is one of those horses that just loves Churchill Downs. I know he can win at Oaklawn and Churchill. He hasn't won anywhere else yet, but when he runs on Churchill, he's a tiger. So I know this field is loaded with talent. So I think anyone really in that field, with exception really Lucas's horse, can win. But until you beat the champ on his track, I'm going with him. So I'm with Mystic Dan and that Stephen Foster.
Yeah, I kept coming back to Mystic Dan. It was not a horse I expected to keep coming back to. We're looking at the inquiry right now on the screen. JD, do you see anything of note? I mean, I just see the 3 taken up a little bit, but this
is an inquiry as opposed to a rider's claim of foul here. And I really think the 3 became ranked behind the 5, and they flashed the inquiry for no apparent reason.
That's kind of what I gathered as well.
So I don't think we're going to see any movement here unless there's another angle or it's actually at a different point in the race. But the 5 was ahead of the 3 on the rail, and it just seemed like Saheen was having a hard time keeping the 3's head down and keeping the horse from becoming ranked on the rail there. And I'd be very shocked if we see a change here. And I think it's no change.
There we go. No change. Yeah. Rightfully.
It's so hard on the turns too.
Yeah, it is hard on the turns. The horse got uncomfortable in and behind. You can't really blame him too much. Eric, now we'll check in with you. No, I don't like that viewpoint. Eric, we'll check in with you. How's your Saturday going? What's been new in your neck of the woods?
Saturday's been busy today. We entered for the first of our 2 Festival of Racing days here at Prairie Meadows. So those entries are out. And then tomorrow we'll enter for the biggest ones, Cornhusker, Iowa Derby, Iowa Oaks. So exciting, busy times. Glad I can step away and still be a fan and a handicapper and a bettor for a little bit today. The horse that I love the most just ran second at Woodbine. That was Tiz or Money. She was probably my choice of the day, but that winner just stepped out really nicely. She was much the best, given the circumstances. Just took advantage of it. So a little disappointed there, but still got some solid opinions through the rest of the card. Down at Churchill, I think I'm pretty straightforward, pretty chalky, and in most of the spots, I can't get too creative, unfortunately. But at Woodbine, I can get a little more creative.
Yeah, I was also a big fan of the number 2, Tis Her Money there, who unfortunately could not get the money, but, put in a good run, and I look forward to seeing how she progresses out of that race. That was only her second start off the bench, I believe, to start her 3-year-old season.
Yeah, she's built for 2 turns. I mean, that last race, she took such a solid step, and here looks like she can run for days. So as long as she's got a couple bends to run around, I think she's got loads of potential to win some stakes here and maybe outside of town down the road.
Me too. I could certainly see her maybe coming down to Saratoga to stay at Woodbine. Could see her going many places. She seems like a talented one moving forward. We got 3 stakes races, all of the graded variety, 2 grade 2s and a grade 3 left at Woodbine. The next, we're going 6 furlongs on the grass. It's the grade 2 Highlander Stakes, purse of $200,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. Of course, it is the return of Patches O'Houlihan, the 12 for 15 lifetime sprinter who just set the track record last time out. I'm going to try and get a little cute and beat this one with the number 1, My Boy Prince, who I saw running the Jaipur at Saratoga not too long ago. Ran a really nice race behind Silver Bullet, just couldn't quite get there. But SPN, we'll go to you first. How did you view this race? Are you going to try and beat Patches, or is Patches just too good for this group?
No. I mean, obviously the Woodbine crowd loves Patches, and how can you not? What a story! He and Pink Lloyd, both owned by the same guy, Robert DiGiulio. What stories they are. But yes, I'm with you. I'm with My Boy Prince. I think got to give Mark Costa tremendous credit for this horse. And he ran the 2 races, and now they've kind of reinvented him as a turf sprinter. And what I really like about this horse is he gets back his Lasix today. Look at his 4 races on Lasix and with Saheen. Second, first. So he gets his Lasix back. I think Mark's done an amazing job with this horse, kind of reinventing him as a sprinter. I love Patches, but I just think the class is going to kind of come out in My Boy Prince. And if it's coming down to this stretch, I think he can beat him at the wire.
Yeah, I hope so. Obviously, with the speed playing the way that it has, it's going to favor Patches in a spot like this. But, hey, came back with 2 really, really strong efforts on the grass, did My Boy Prince in his last 2, both of those coming off Lasix. If he gets maybe a little bit of a boost with the Lasix edition today, that could certainly pose a huge threat. Eric, I'll go out to you. Are you going to try and beat Patches O'Houlihan in this spot, or are you going to stick with the I don't know, slot machine, for lack of a better word?
In terms of picking a most likely winner, I think it is Patches O'Houlihan. He's too consistent. He's too good. He's got the race under his belt, and it was a career best effort. I mean, the fact he's blossoming as a 5-year-old potentially is unreal to me. But in value, in terms of playing the race, I don't really want much to do with him. So how I build around him, I definitely want the 2 Play Me a Tune involved. I've been a big fan of this horse since he broke his maiden. When he broke his maiden, I thought this horse had every chance to go be great, and then in just his 3rd career start, almost beat Patches. He was a neck away from him, ran a career best race there. Don't love that he's coming off a layoff. He hasn't run since February, but he's getting back here to Woodbine. His 1 career turf effort in the Woodbine Mile was not a bad race, even though he ran 5th. He ran a solid buyer, only beaten a couple of links against pretty quality, much more experienced horses. So I'm just going to try and hope that he's fit, and that's where I think the value is going to be. So I'll definitely be having him on my side in some fashion. But once again, most likely winner, I think the favorite makes the most sense.
Yeah, I like it. Play Me a Tune was a horse I was really big on last summer. Kazushi Kimura left Del Mar to go up to ride this horse in his 3rd career start in the Bold Venture. That was the day of the, I don't know, JD, what would you call that? A monsoon, a deluge, a hurricane, where it rained about, 3 feet in 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was. They had 2 over the course of last year. They had 2 of the biggest rainstorms I've ever seen at a racetrack. That was actually not the worst one. The worst one, they had to rescue people from the infield tunnel because it completely flooded. And they had to get rescue boats to get people out of the infield tunnel. So yeah, I mean, Woodbine had tough breaks with the weather, but I think what we saw last year from Play Me a Tune is something that could happen in this race. And I think earlier in the week, before we saw the speed bias, I was definitely in Play Me a Tune's camp as kind of, hey, they could go crazy on the front end, and I think Play Me a Tune will be a little further back and can make the one run. But I think it's interesting to see, Josie, kind of had Play Me a Tune down. Paul Meadows was, running at Gulfstream, shipped up once at Turfway, came back and worked at Palm Meadows. So didn't come right back up to Woodbine. It made me think maybe that she was looking for a spot at Keeneland, and then something happened because there was a break in the training. Because obviously Josie brought up a string to Keeneland, mostly new horses, trying the maiden game there, but also had a couple other horses with some experience. But fitness is going to be the question here, and also just, this could be the race where they just go insane up front and can beat the bias that way.
Yeah, this could be it with the way that they're going to be paying attention to how this race is playing. Obviously, it's no secret that Patches O'Houlihan's game is to go straight to the front and don't look back. So maybe someone does, send out to the front, go on a crazy speed. So I think that if that scenario were to happen, I think that does help our pick SPN in My Boy Prince in this race. But either way, this is going to be one of those races where, as a racing fan, I'm just happy to watch it. Patches is an excellent horse. It's great to see a horse this consistent. It's not something we are able to see every day. And then you have improving horses like like Play Me a Tune and My Boy Prince, who can continue getting better and might even be good enough to spring a bit of an upset here.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way, for the record, last year when the King's Plate card was canceled, I had the pleasure of being on with Dan on the show live that day. And I thought the crowd was going to literally throw stuff at us. It wasn't our decision, but I've never seen rain like that. There was literally a party in where the old harness thing was, and they couldn't get the people out. They were stuck there for 2-3 hours at a huge party out there. I'd never seen rain like that. Crazy.
I know that was incredible. I was at Del Mar. I was actually I was on the clock. I was working, but that was a great racing day. So I tried to tune in. In between job tasks, and I opened the feed, and it was just a wall of water. And I was like, all right, that doesn't look too promising. And sure enough, they ended up delaying that racing day. But to stick on today's card, where it looks like the weather's nice, minus a little bit of wind. Okay, JD, I'll go out to you. We haven't heard your thoughts in a little bit. In a race like this, in terms of what you'd like to bet or play, is this one you're just going to kind of sit back and watch? As Patches O'Houlihan's going to be a pretty short price, you're going to spice things up with maybe some horizontal or vertical plays.
So I'm definitely going horizontal here. Got knocked out of my pick 5 last leg, so might as well roll a pick 3 here. And I am singling Patches to start here. I'm not playing huge. I'm just playing a dollar pick 3 because while I think Patches is the most likely winner, I'm not incredibly confident at this stage because I do think this could be kind of the pace meltdown sort of thing, and wondering, hey, do I really play Me a Tune underneath, get 5-2 all tries, things like that, or it's something that I can be talked into over the next 16 minutes as I watch Alyssa out in the outdoor patios, wind just blow on the track feed. It's definitely getting windier out there.
It certainly is. How about you, SPN? What are your thoughts on any plays here? Are you going to do anything vertically, horizontally, or just a nice little win bet on My Boy Prince?
Yeah, that's the way I'm going. If I lose, I lose. Just do a nice, win bet, not a big one, but I'm saying, because obviously, especially with the speed that Patches has, maybe a $10 win bet, or just on the one, just hoping that he can get up. But I'm not going to bet big, especially against Patches, especially in the shorter field with the scratches. But I still think his class can prevail, so I'll just do a win bet. I'm not going to get crazy with trifectas in the field like this.
Yeah, I certainly think if you're going to try and beat a favorite like Patches, you got to do it just on the win end. You got to just try and beat him with a nice little win bet. Eric, are you in agreement? I see you nodding over there. What would your kind of plays be? What would your approach be to a race like this?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like SPN said, you lose, but worth a chance with a solid enough price on Play Me a Tune. I might as well. I'll probably still play a pick 3 of some kind with these stakes because I'm pretty straightforward and chalky in the next leg as well, race 9. So that gives me an opportunity to maybe price hunt a little bit in race 10 and get a solid pay after getting through these first 2 legs, hopefully. But if I were playing a pick 3, I'd probably just use Patches and then hopefully one of the 2 hits.
I like it. The next race number 9, the Dominion Day Stakes, as we go a mile and an 1/8 on the synthetic for the 4-year-olds and upward. That was, in my opinion, one of the more difficult races on this sequence to try and pick the winner of. It seems very wide open, very competitive. Should be a really, really nice betting field. Eric, I'll start with you. We haven't gotten your thoughts yet. What were your just kind of overall opinions of the race, and then a top pick if you have one?
Yeah, I thought that Essex Serpent had a really strong chance to get out on the lead and kind of freewheel like he did in his last start. He kind of just took off. The fractions were not necessarily in his favor, but he just carried it. And I don't know how the track was playing that day. Maybe it played forward, but even if it was, he took it to his advantage. There's not a lot of other speed that really jumps out on paper. Stanley House, the 3, occasionally will try and go forward. He did 2 back on the Canadian turf, and it didn't go too well for him. And then the 5, Fantastic, again. Early on in his career, you couldn't really wrangle him back. He's kind of settled as he's gotten older. But I still think Essex Serpent has probably the most capable speed here. And because of that, I just think he's got a strong chance to get out front, kind of like we saw in the last race, the Selene with Serendipity. I could see a similar trip for Essex Serpent.
Yeah, certainly. SPN, what were your thoughts on the Dominion Day Stakes?
Well, coming into the day, I loved Bail Us Out, on the rail with Kevin Natard and Pietro Moran with all the speed. But the way this track is playing, maybe that isn't the best play right now. But the only thing you can hope for, Eric kind of mentioned it there, is this if the 5 and the Serpent and a couple other horses, Stanley House has been known to, if they get a little brave. Sometimes it Woodbine, even when the track's carrying, if you just get one race, it just happens to have too much speed. All you need is just a little bit of a kick up there, and then someone can come back. So I'm not throwing Bail Us Out. I like her at a price, a little bit of a price. But, yeah, and the other thing is, too, I noticed Victor Espinoza. Wesley Ward is so loyal to his former jockeys, which is great. Remember, David Flores used to ride for him sometimes in this situation. I love Victor. He's awesome. Obviously, he won multiple derbies and everything, but he doesn't ride a lot. You know what I'm saying? So to have him come up to Canada to a track he's not really familiar with, I'm just saying with a lot of speed, I'm not crazy about that, in terms of that move. I mean, he may win and be the best horse, but I think he'll be in the money. But I just tried to beat him, on that thing. But I do think Serpent, I'm with Eric. I think Serpent will be very live in this situation too. But my long shot pick was Bail Us Out. Pedro's riding great. So.
Yeah,
and do you think the blinkers on for Bail Us Out try to get closer to the pace in that scenario?
Yeah, that's what I kind of read into that, So if Pedro can just kind of get him to settle, has the shortest trip on the rail, if he can just save some ground and the people up front get a little brave, I think Pedro can be right there at the end. This horse almost won the Ontario Derby versus Dresden Rose right there at the end. So I don't see why this horse can't make up ground late if the pace is heavy. But she does need a little help.
Yeah, needs a little bit of assistance on the front end, but she might just get that. It might be one of those races where they go way too fast. Too soon. So something to keep an eye on as we approach post time. Race number 10 we can talk about, and of course we'll go do a deeper dive as each of these races comes up. But if you were playing pick 3s, it pretty much seems like a 2-horse race to end. Obviously you have the Woodbine familiar name and horse in Caitlin Her Greatness, who came out last time to win just about as easy as a horse could. And you have the invader from New York in Sweet Rebecca for the Chad Brown barn. Dylan Davis is up to ride. I believe it is his only mount on the day. Eric, I'll turn to you first. What did you make of that race? Do you think it's between one of those two, or are you going with a bomb?
I think anything can happen in this race, truthfully. I mean, obviously, Caitlin Her Greatness has her big races, but she's not invincible. She's capable of losing to horses she shouldn't lose to. And the same can be said for Sweet Rebecca. I know that she's got some solid numbers to back her up at times, but last summer in New York, she was kind of supposed to take the world by storm and be this this next great Chad Brown turf filly, and then she kind of bombed in back-to-back stakes. So I know she came back and won, but the point is there's horses who are capable of winning in this race. I went about as deep as I possibly could, like I said, in some of my multi races, just to see what I could get. Ready for Sherrill is very capable of running a big race while the big number come with it. Not really, but on the right day she can beat some good horses. And the Mission of Joy for Grand Motion. She's not what she used to be, but even if she is slower than her high 90 buyer she was running a year or two ago, her best race at this point is still capable of hanging with this bunch. So just a few of the other names I saw. Astaire on the outside as well. Brendan Walsh, she's mighty consistent once again. Her numbers don't jump out at you, but she is consistent as can be. And if she can just cast the wire at the right time, maybe today's her day. So I think it can go many ways, despite, like you said, on paper, it may be being a 2-horse race at first glance.
Yeah, it could be at first glance, but maybe with the way that the track is playing, anything could really happen. The more and more I looked at the form, the more the number 8 Ocean Club kind of stood out to me as a horse that could finish underneath in the exotics. I think it is between Sweet Rebecca is my top pick in there. I think just maybe the new face in this group, or the new face, I guess, against Caitlin Her Greatness. If Sweet Rebecca does fire that A race, I think she clearly needs Lasix, and she'll get that in this spot. So want to give that one a shot because, yeah, Caitlin Her Greatness, very talented horse, not invincible. So want to take a small stab against SPN. What are your thoughts on race number 10, the Grade 2 Nassau Stakes?
Yeah, I was on Sweet Rebecca. I think I so respect Caitlin Her Greatness. I think she's very tough. I mean, she damn near took She Feels Pretty to the line, in Keeneland. So we know she's got talent and she loves her home base. So, but Sweet Rebecca here again, 2 for 2 with Lasix. So I'm going to throw those kind of flat efforts on the fact that because she was a 2-year and she was stakes races, she couldn't run in her Lasix and she was just flat at the end. But she gets her Lasix back. What does she do? She runs a 90 coming back. So I think maybe with the Lasix back. The other thing is the stat I think is a bit misleading is that Chad Brown is 8% in the last 5 years. If you remember, because of the COVID years, the horses he brought up, they were ridden by local riders who really didn't know the horse. So a lot of his main riders haven't come up to ride his horse. Now he gets Dylan, Dylan's like 6 of the last 10 that he's ridden at Woodbine. He and Clement owned like the turf course like 3 years ago. He's coming second already with Scorching today, earlier. And I think Dylan just loves this course. And with him coming up to ride for Chad, not a local rider, I think that's an even bigger feather in her cap. So I was 10, and I'm with Eric. I think do the numbers say it? No, but Sherrill, if she can always run a big race in the big day, and I think she can definitely get in the money. I don't know if she wins, but I think she can be right there at the end when it counts.
I like it. JD, we spoke a little earlier about our thoughts on this race. I think you're a big Caitlin the Greatness supporter. No doubt she's an incredible horse. Did you like anything underneath if you were to play any exotics?
Yes, I have a crazy horse underneath, which is the 5 Ready to Jam from our Cassie. Selene Savachi has been aboard for both of this fillies' victories so far in the career, and they've been good efforts on the Woodbine turf. Obviously, who knows what to make out of the Royal North at this point. It was kind of a crazy race where we had, 2 horses take all the money and do 0 running through the course of the action. Earhart with one of the most disappointing performances in recent memory at Woodbine, going odds on and finishing last. I think Ray Jam was right there, ended up getting out bobbed by Miss Tart, and who's also in this race. But I think Ray Jam is coming back strong. I mean, the effort to start the year at Churchill wasn't terrible, going 5 furlongs, stretched back out to 6.5, and almost won a Grade 3, and has primary jock back on board. I think a good shot underneath for Ready to Jam. I do like that myself and Eric are giving differing opinions, because you have a guy in me who lives in Arizona and went to college in Iowa, and a guy in Eric who is from Iowa and went to college in Arizona. So
see,
there you go.
That's what makes racing great.
Yes,
That is
World
what
goes round,
makes absolutely. All right. Yeah, no, excellent thoughts. Number 5, ready to jam, 20-1 on the morning line. Yeah, stretching out from the sprint to the route with having that forward position could certainly benefit him. We'll throw the Woodbine feed up as we are about 5 minutes to post for race number 8 at Woodbine. Again, we're going 6 furlongs on the grass here. That maybe worked. I think it's loading. Patches of Houlihan currently 4-5. Here we go. Patches of Houlihan currently 4-5. Hopefully the feed helps us out a little bit here. The connection could just always be an issue. But again, Patches of Houlihan 4-5. Now, JD, I want to ask you if you're a big supporter of Patches, and you think this is just his game. You think everything is pointing towards him winning, especially with the way the track is played. Is 4-5 still a decent bet for you, or is that just too short for who you would like to take just in general?
It's too short in general for a win bet for me. So this isn't the category of trying to hit a cold exacta. So I'm looking more and more, and I'm continuing to look at the exacta chart and just seeing if I want to pull the trigger on a 5-2 exacta. Right now, we're looking at $10 on a $1 investment, probably about where I want to be. So I'm probably going to hit that. 5-1 is $3. That's obviously going to be a lot of the Canadian play there, but I think 5-2 at $10 is a good value.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great play. And play me a tune. We've seen in the last couple of races, horses have been able to make up a little bit of ground just behind those leaders who are drawing away in the stretch. So play me a tune could certainly get a piece of it. What about you, Eric? If your top pick is a horse that's about 4-5, but you're confident in the runner's abilities, is that too short for you to just take a win bet? Do you want to spice things up with exotic play, or will you take 4-5 if it's in your mind just a horse that's going to win?
Unless I really need to see one go through the hoop, which I'm capable of. No, I'll usually pass, or like JD was kind of saying, see if I can get involved vertically. I mean, that $10 return on that cold exacta would be wonderful. So I'm certainly gonna stay on top of that up to post time and see if that's something I'll pull the trigger on. But outside of that, no, I won't touch it unless I need that confidence booster.
I get it.
And the back wheel version of that is $18 right now. So
that's pretty.
Wow,
that's pretty good.
Strong.
SPN, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I love Patches. It's from a just a love of the horse, but no, 4-5, not versus this group. No, I don't think. Do I think he can win? Obviously, but no, not a 4-5. I would look as JD so nice said the exactas and even pick threes, as Eric said. Something on the other line. I'm not betting him at 4-5. Too low.
So we have the reigning Sovereign Award winner, champion 3-year-old male in the 8 Dresden Row.
Yeah.
Dresden Row seems to have the exact running style that's doing well today, but is coming off of over 180-day layoff. Is that the main concern that you guys have for not wanting to include the 8?
Yeah, absolutely. This horse, I think if you put JD, I think if you put this horse in the Moon, he could still come in third or second, or he brings his game every single time. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't like the layoff, and I know they were going for another race, and then that didn't work out, so he ended up here on the turf. But I still think even his turf efforts weren't bad. You know what I'm saying? And I think if this race falls apart or something like that, Dresden's always there. He always runs his race. He could be right there in the end. That's what he's always done. So he's one of those horses that owners love to own because every single time he will fire his shot, whether it's good enough, but he will be there.
Yeah, honestly, you can go way back to his debut race. And honestly, if the race sets up like it did that day, he might be in with a chance or, be a price underneath because he kind of got outpaced early on, which I'm sure is going to happen again today. He clearly wants to go further than the 3/4 he'll run today, but he came with a solid bid. And honestly, you make a good point there, JD, looking it over, going way back to that first career turf race. There's reason to believe he'll be making that bid because he does have the talent. I just didn't love how much slower he was, even building off that to the Toronto Cup last year, he really was flat that day and didn't run much of a number at all on any analysis. So that was my biggest concern, was the surface switch.
All right,
Ryan, do you
I am
audio
back
here?
He is.
I am back. Sorry, that was I have no idea what just happened, but I will get us audio for Robert Geller as he's going to give us the call for race number 8. Thank you guys for holding that one down. Technology is only good when it works.
Back in action, Dresden Row for Ryan Munger. The outside gate. They're all in and they stand well. Locked up.
Do you guys have audio on the? Do you guys hear Robert Geller?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Off their race, Dresden Row and Patches O'Houlihan best away. Patches O'Houlihan in the center going clear from Old Chestnut. My Boy Prince coming right through like a bullet on the inside and is within a half a length of Patches O'Houlihan. Old Chestnut is third from Niagara's Skyline. Back second last, Play Me a Tune, and last is Dresden Row. Patches O'Houlihan shows the way and got out by about 2 lengths to My Boy Prince, who's in second. A length away third is Old Chestnut from Niagara Skyline. Up the inside, Play Me a Tune. And on the outer, Dresden Row's back to last. Patches O'Houlihan racing through the opening quarter in 22, leads by 2.5 lengths now. Length and a half as My Boy Prince tries to make inroads. Running off here, Patches O'Houlihan, and My Boy Prince is coming right up on the inside to go through. Patches O'Houlihan veered off, still in front. My Boy Prince on the inside. They've raced away. And then came Niagara Skyline and Play Me a Tune, drifting off a line badly. Patches O'Houlihan on the inside. My Boy Prince tries to make a race of it. Patches O'Houlihan right out wide on the track, veering off. Oh, trying to hang on here, Sophia Vives, all over the place. But Patches O'Houlihan wide out has won from My Boy Prince. Then Dresden Row and Play Me a Tune.
Apologies for the awful. That was a odd race. Patches O'Houlihan got the job done.
Had a hot dog, had a Coke, and still won.
Yeah, got a parking voucher. He looked like he was trying to get out around the turn. That's very unusual from Patches O'Houlihan. He just was able to hold on over My Boy Prince. That's twice
in the turf he's done that, where he's kind of gone to the right on when he gets on the turf. It's interesting. That's a pattern for him.
Yeah, JD, do you think he kind of sees the synthetic track to his outside? He wants to go run out there. Or, what do you make of
the synthetic track to his inside?
Oh, it is to his inside. Sorry, I forget they're on the AP. Yeah, the fans.
Yeah. That was crazy.
I think what that tells you today is that wind and the front bias is real. Because there is absolutely no chance after blowing that lead and being in about the 14 path that horse had any reason. Like, we're going to see a head-on now as we watch the track, and we're just going to see just a gigantic right turn. Like, they're having to zoom out the head-on to keep Patches in frame. Like, this horse drifted 10 paths in the middle of the stretch and still won. It's just insane.
Yeah, no, that is nuts. He tried to get out on the turn and then, definitely got out coming down the lane. You could see the jockey struggling to kind of keep him straight. Somehow still held on to win. Yeah, you mentioned the bias had to play a major factor there.
And I apologize. I have no idea what happened in the rest of the race because I was just sitting here with my mouth open watching Patches go just way outside.
I believe it went 5-1, and that was a photo for third. I think it went to the outside runner. I didn't see who it was. I think the
5-1.
My thought was, okay, Saheen, he's going right. Okay, go by him. No, can't go by him.
Even the third and fourth place finishers, they looked like they were running in place. Truthfully, it's not like the top two were getting away from them or they were tired. They were fighting the elements. It was one of the most bizarre races I've ever watched.
It was. It even looked like My Boy Prince came out a few paths as he was running down the stretch. I couldn't tell if he was trying to get out, getting blown sideways by the wind, or maybe just trying to keep the jockey just trying to keep his eyes on the competition as Patches was trying to renew his parking voucher. At the 16th pole there.
we have to be. I think it's got to be the 6-year anniversary on ABR here. Emily Gullickson coming up with the term Woodbine. And it's 100% true today.
Absolutely.
It certainly seems to be. That is race number 8. One more time to run it through. 5, Patches O'Houlihan got the job done at 4-5, followed by My Boy Prince. Dresden Row, and Play Me a Tune to round out the Super. Still unofficial, but it looks like that should hold. Yeah, that was a bizarrely run race, but Patches O'Houlihan and the win to his home court seemed to get him to the finish line there. Yeah, that was nuts. I thought you guys had your hands on your face because of the terrible quality of the live stream there. No, it was just because Patches decided to go run in the stands.
Right, exactly.
I think Mikey asked a question. I want to get your guys' take here, especially after watching that performance. We've seen my boy Prince go down to the States and be pretty competitive on turf. Patches on turf, I think that was the idea going forward, has never completed the turn on the turf. Do you think we're going to see Patches come to the U.S. at any point this year?
No. I think he stays up. I think he stays home. That would be wild. You know who I would love to see run Carson run against Patches, because both of them could be out in like the 15 path at Woodbine, and they could be both coming down the stretch together. It would be because remember when Run Carson went at Woodbine, he was like in the 15 path. He and Patches could be like matching strides right next to the rail. It'd be quite. I think he keeps him up up at Woodbine. I don't think he goes, especially Saratoga or anything like that, versus the big boys, given his propensity to go right around the turn.
Yeah. No, I think so too. It certainly seems like now that's twice he's gotten out, as we've talked about on the turns at the turf course. I mean, the Breeders' Cup is at Del Mar. You think he could handle a tight turn like that? That was on the EP Taylor with that wide sweeping turn. Del Mar, I have no idea what would happen on that. He might just run up to Santa Anita if he was on that turf course. So I think he's got to stay.
Yep.
I think at Del Mar he'd end up in the ocean. Truthfully.
Yeah. He'd go surfing.
If he does run, I'm just telling my horse and like Umberto, hug the rail, because he'll take 6-7 horses out with him when he's going around the turn, and then you just sneak right up the rail. Exactly. So no, I think he stays home.
Yeah, no, I think he has to stay home after that effort. Prices are official. Race number 9 coming up in about 25-ish minutes or so. I gotta say, JD, something I really appreciate about Woodbine and the way you guys do all your stakes races is there's not a whole lot of this post drag, this like 50 minutes between races. I mean, if we were covering some other tracks, the four of us would be on screen for the next 6 hours just covering this late pick 3 or late double.
What's funny is there was a major pause between races 1 and 2 because they had an important ceremony that they were doing that. Yeah. But they intentionally do that to where it doesn't impact the stakes races. So it's a completely different animal. And I know today, especially, they're cognizant of it because of how big of a day it is at Churchill. But, one thing that they have said this week, I mean, obviously they're big races at Churchill, but 5 graded stakes at Woodbine today, only 4 at Churchill.
Yeah. And great racing product up at Woodbine. Competitive races, and the stars are out up in Canada just like they are in Kentucky. So I think it's a great card to get to dive into. And a great race we'll get to dive into is the upcoming Grade 3 Dominion Day that we've talked a little bit about with how competitive this is top to bottom. And I'm sure we'll touch on that in a little bit. Just catching up on racing around the country. West Coast horse by the name of Roll On Big Joe managed to upset Booth and Dr. Venkman at Churchill Downs not too long ago. So that's a Bob Hess trained horse who has really come into his own. I would watch that horse out at Santa Anita. Not that I wouldn't think twice about him, but I mean, it just was never a horse that really put everything together, but has done nothing wrong in his last 3 or 4 starts, has really come along nicely. And I believe that's 2 straight wins for Roll On Big Joe, gets a graded stakes victory to his name. Incredible there. So that's just keeping everybody updated on the goings on at Churchill Downs. Obviously, Aqueduct has their card going on, or Belmont at Aqueduct, and Los Al has a tournament that Jackson Muniz is participating in. So he guaranteed me a victory at the beginning of the day. So hopefully he can go ahead and get that completed. But we'll pivot back to Woodbine for race number 9. But actually, before we do that, because we have a little bit of time, we've already kind of gone over our top picks. SPN, we have the Saratoga July 4th Racing Festival coming up. I assume you'll be out there for those festivities. But what else do you have going on this summer? Whether it's tracks you're going to, or anything media-wise you're working on?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I do every Tuesday and Thursday. I do a podcast on Trust the Profits. We do Assiniboia. We show the races live from Assiniboia every Tuesday, which has been a huge success. The people out there. And then on Thursdays we usually do the races for Woodbine, but this year they moved their Thursday post from 4:50 to 3. So it's a little harder to do the last, like, you can only do like the last 2 or 3 races. But I know after the King's Plate, so we've been doing Churchill while Woodbine's on their 3 o'clock thing, but I know they moved back. So that's exciting. Yeah, I'm definitely going up this Thursday and Friday or Friday, I should say, for this Suburban. Our boy Antiquarian for Centennial Farms is going to be running, as long as he doesn't see the fireman on the inside like he did last time. I think he's going to run a really big race. He had a huge race. I don't know if you guys knew that story. When the reason why they all went 4 wide is Johnny V. Antiquarian's head, for some reason, his head turns left, but his body still goes straight. And there happened to be an EMT worker that was working that just was like 5-6 feet from the rail. And Antiquarian happened to see him and locked eyes with him. And so he went like 3-4 wide. And then when Johnny got him going again, he came back with a vengeance. But so we're hoping that Matt DeSantis has assured me that there'll be no EMTs on the inside the rail for the Suburban. So it should be it's going to be fun. Yeah, and then I'll head up to Woodbine for the King's Plate that week. Always exciting when I see my racing family up there, and always excited to be back at Woodbine. So
I'll plug something for SPN. SPN has been absolutely on fire with his picks at Woodbine Mohawk, and I just want to commend him for that and make sure to follow those picks and he gets them out early. He's already got everything out for today, so after this Woodbine Thoroughbred card, just fire away. He's been on fire.
There we go. I like it. Promoting the Woodbine Mohawk for the standard breds. Eric, I'll pivot out to you. First, please touch on what we have going on at Prairie Meadows. I know you mentioned you just got the entries in for one of your biggest days out there, so touch on that. And then what do you have going on this summer off the racetrack, maybe?
Yeah, no. So today we drew for 4 stakes. The Iowa Sprint, the Saylorville, which is fillies and mares sprinting, the Iowa Distaff, and the Prairie Gold Lassie, which is 2-year-old fillies. Pretty solid races. There's, really intriguing horses in every single one of them. Larry Ravelli's bringing Sassy CW, who won the Astoria of at Saratoga for ours. So we're really excited about that. The Sprint's got some good quality. Glengarry is one of the best Iowa breds in the country, and he can hang with any sprinter. Headlines the Sprint. The Saylorville is a very competitive race. Uvra is coming from Chicago. A bunch of horses from Kentucky for Phil Bauer, Rudy Brissett all coming in. And then the Distaff Hoosier fillies coming to town, and we're really excited about that. Tomorrow we draw for 4 more stakes: the Cornhusker, which is our biggest race of the meet, the Derby, the Oaks, and the Prairie Gold Juvenile for 2-year-old boys. All look pretty solid. The usual suspects always show up. Steve Asmussen, Brad Cox always seem to bring some. I know Tom Amos is looking to have a few for the Oaks and Derby. Those are just some of the names that we're expecting, but should be very live couple of days next July 4th and 5th. And then that's pretty much all I'm doing, filling up the day-to-day cards. And outside of that, firing away on everyone else racing when I have my time between the morning when I do all my office work and then the nights when we race. We'll start at 6 p.m. tonight. So we'll be heading back to the track in about a half hour, a little more than that.
I love it. Go ahead, JD.
At any point, have you felt the want or desire to go to the water park next door on a especially warm day while you're working on the backside and kind of dip in?
Every day, Adventureland. I mean, it's the hidden gem of the U.S. Truthfully, I mean, it's hard to be sad when you're at the racetrack and then you maybe go to Adventureland for the afternoons. I've done it before. It's well worth the time. So it's like a mini Disneyland for the 99% of everybody else watching or listening right now who have no idea what I'm talking about. But you put that next to a racetrack, next to some good barbecue, it's hard to beat.
No doubt, that's hard to beat.
And the weather's sizzling like Tyler Bacon.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, talk about a guy who can't lose. Jeez, he had a great Oaklawn. I thought, he's going to Kentucky. We'll never see him again. And he shows up and, guaranteed a few wins a day at the minimum. He's running away with it already.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And looking forward to those great cards out at Prairie Meadows. Those are always fun days of racing for me. I know I always look forward to that two-day festival of stakes racing. And you guys always get some really good horses. You mentioned Sassy CW, who ran really well at Saratoga. Ovra. So very exciting. Looking forward to it. Thank you for the updates there on your lives and your goings on in the world. But we'll pivot back out to race 9 at Woodbine, the Grade 3 Dominion Day Stakes, going a mile and an eighth on the synthetic. Again, 4-year-olds and upward, purse of $150,000. 17 minutes to post. Your current favorite, as I look through, is the 7 Essex Serpent, who we have talked about. Looks kind of just like that speedball that's going to go out and just kind of wing it, and that seems to be the method to find yourself in the winner's circle. So we'll just go around the panel here. JD, I'll start with you. With the way this track is playing, is this are you going to try and beat Essex Serpent here? And if so, who are you going with? Remind us one more time.
Yeah, I'm definitely an outlier here in that I think Fashionably Fab can sit right off of Essex Serpent, get the trip around the track, and I think the mare can beat the boys today. And right now we're getting 13-1 on the number 2 Fashionably Fab for Kevin Attard with David Morin aboard. I think what we're getting into here is we've got a very experienced mare going against some lightly ran males, and I think this is the first time Fashionably Fab's ever tried to compete against the males, and I think it's a wonderful spot here. I know, and the other thing I'll back up, because I know Mikey earlier gave a chance for Fly the W, who is getting bet down to 7-1 right now, and it is tough to not see an opportunity for a horse when you see 15-1 morning line for a horse. And I did the math, and I used fingers, toes, and I had to use my fingers again. The horse has been favored 29 times in the career. 29 times this horse has been a favorite.
Yep.
And you're getting now 7-1, half of Ernie's morning line, but a horse that just comes out and play. And obviously he's been running the claiming division and some of those overnight handicaps at Gulfstream. Tried the first career stakes race last time out and didn't embarrass himself. So interesting to see 7-1 on the 4 here. Fly the W.
Yeah, very interesting. That is just an ATM. That horse always seems to fire his best shot. Always seems to run a really good race.
Yeah, somewhere Larry Colmus is definitely that's his boy. Exactly. He's definitely watching that race for Fly the W, no doubt.
He is. SPN, we'll stick with you. Remind us one more time what your plays are, or what your pick is in this race, and then any plays that you might want to go along with.
Yeah, right now bail us out's 9-2, and I agree with JD. Made a great point. I think the blinkers on is an attempt to get her a little bit closer to where the action is, and if we do get this race where Stanley House can go out, Essex Serpent will definitely be out there. Obviously, fantastic again with it. If you just get a little bit more of a pace up there, and Pietro, who's done an amazing job. This kid is just so beyond his years as a rider. If he can just keep this horse, keep her even within arm's length of these guys, she can come down the lane and finish. So I like the 1, especially at in 9-2. The bettors are backing her.
They are. A lot of support at the windows right now. Eric, I'll go out to you now. Tell us what your thoughts are on this race and any bets you may be playing.
Yeah, I still like Essex Serpent on top. I mean, the more we've talked, there's potential people go after him, but I'm hoping Husbands utilizes the go for broke approach and just lets this horse run and hope that he'll ration himself out enough to win. This is a horse who realistically should be able to run all day. And I'm hopeful that he's had enough time from that first run this year to find that same form and maybe a little extra here second off the layoff. I think outside of him, I'm a little. I think that 5-1 on Classic Motown's a pretty fair price. In all honesty, it's a horse who clearly loves the Tapeta, ran really well in the Eclipse last time out. Sure, we get a little tougher here, at least in terms of this race. Last time out, he beat Web Slinger and Get Smokin', but those are not horses who are built to thrive going a mile and a 16th. So good win, maybe a little skewed, but I think he's able to run back to that and maybe hit the board. And then Stanley House, I think that the price at around 10-1 right now is pretty fair on him. Obviously didn't come back and run well in the Eclipse, but there's way more to this horse, especially if last year, the more he ran, the better he got. It seemed like he was able to stay consistent while maybe not picking up all the W's. That's the kind of horse I want to keep involved underneath if I can. So I'll definitely be soloing Essex Serpent on top and including some of those names in addition to the ones you guys have mentioned underneath, see if I can create some value out of this race.
I like it. That's going to be a similar approach to me is I'm going to try and work in Stanley House and maybe fly the W underneath in second. A horse that I think maybe has a shot to improve second off the bench is for Gail Cox, who I know has been off to a bit of a slow start, but it's the number 6, Dancing in Denial. Maybe can round out the super, come flying late. Has some back races, certainly. A lot of them come on the turf, so maybe that's just where this gelding is going to do his best running. But one I wanted to give maybe a little look to maybe round out the supers or the tries. But I'm going to go Essex Serpent on top and use the 3 and the 4 underneath in second. As we approach race number 9.
Yeah, if you saw Mikey DePaulo's suit earlier, it's pretty sharp. So he thinks he's got a good chance today.
Hey,
he's looking mighty fine there in the paddock. So exactly. So
they're dressing for the winner's circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Dressing for the winner's circle. I like it. I'm gonna do a quick little test and see if I can throw this feed up and see what our resolutions look at, our frame rate is looking like. May need to just reset the connection in a second here, but let's see what we got. It is very windy as they're walking around the paddock. We'll take a look at the number 7 here, and let's hope that the stream holds together.
The front, and he wired the field on that day.
It's not the best, but it's hanging just. I think he's an extremely talented
horse, and I think
we'll keep it up there, and we'll just see how things
and then
roll.
we have the 8 to round out the
but you can
field.
see the betting board, pretty nice betting race. And you're obviously 9-5 favorite
May
on the number 7 Essex Serpent.
And,
But other than that, you're getting
just got the wire in the
best.
time,
The
and
worst you
being a
can do
really
is
good horse in the
9-2.
process, that being a grade 1
on
horse,
the,
that being Web Slinger. So
on the
this
line.
has been a wonderful claim. They claimed the horse for just $25,000. This is obvious.
Thank you, JD. Mute that for the people, so I'm not talking over anybody. For whatever reason, I cannot actually hear the audio on the stream either. So my StreamYard has decided to not be my friend today. That's always useful. We're seeing a walk around. JD, I'm okay. I'll ask everybody on the panel, but we'll go one by one. Obviously, we're all pretty good handicappers. I'd like to say we all know what to look for in terms of paddock appearances. What we look for when a horse is in the paddock or out on track. JD, do you ever factor that into your handicapping? How good are you at that? And is that something that you find really important?
I'm not great at judging horse flesh, but obviously as horses get older, that to me matters less. We're looking for washout, and we saw some washed out hindquarters on the 8 just there a second ago that we saw in the pack on Classic Motown. Just a lot of you can see kind of the white lather on the backside if we get another chance at some point to check the horse. I'm more looking for those sorts of things. Like the wind has really brought the humidity down. It's a 79-degree Fahrenheit day. It's a beautiful day out there, so you would not expect to see a horse washing like that. Now again, I take pretty good notes for these sorts of things. And Classic Motown kind of is up and down. I didn't have her as washed out last time at Woodbine, but also when she ran on May 31st, I believe it was 56 degrees. So it's really tough to put a spade for a spade. And I didn't see her efforts at Gulfstream where it was warmer and soft. That was kind of just a natural thing when it's above 75 for her. So or for him, sorry. Just one of the things I kind of look at there. But, in terms of, when you've got younger horses, obviously, horse flesh and their condition is something that a lot better horse people than I do a better job judging. But as older horses and stakes company here, I'm just mainly looking at who looks comfortable and if they're washing out and getting too hot or excited for the atmosphere. And one thing we're seeing here, and I touched on this earlier when we were on the stream, Ryan, is we've got the indoor paddock and the outdoor paddock in there. Several of the horses are utilizing the outdoor paddock in this spot.
Mm-hmm. So just so I have that straight for the indoor outdoor paddock, it's an option for every race for all the horses. So it's not just some are designated inside, some are outside. You can use both. Like if there's a horse that just prefers to be outside, you could really just have the option there.
You can, if you have a known horse that's kind of a little bit of a character or whatever, you can get permission to saddle outside. Sometimes if you have a character, they can get the authorization just to saddle outside rather than if they've had a history inside. If you've never been up there, it is a bit narrow. Like it's a beautiful paddock, but it is inside. You know what I'm saying? So literally, and if you have a lot of people on a big day, they're right over you. You know what I'm saying? So for the horses, that can be a little bit discouraging for some. You know, they have like a padded room, which is kind of cool. Like for the if they can bring them in there and cool them down, but some do go outside. Even on regular days, if there's a known character, they kind of bring them outside and keep them outside.
That's cool. That's a nice option that the horsemen and women have for their horses, and for the horses too. Obviously, if your horse doesn't like those tight spaces, they get a nice open area where they can do their warm-ups. Eric, we'll go to you next. How do you do with visualizing a horse flesh, seeing them as it relates to your handicapping opinion?
So when I first started handicapping, I never really put much thought into it, and obviously I was aware I could try to figure it out, but I just never thought I was capable of it. And then I worked a summer in the paddock at Saratoga, and every time there was a 2-year-old race, I'd see a horse and I'd be like, man, that horse looks amazing. And then I'd look at the board and be like, they're 15-1. And then I was working for the track, so I couldn't bet them. And sure enough, they'd win at some amazing price. And so slowly there, I realized I actually do know when a horse looks confident, cool, collected, and ready to run their race. But as JD said, the older they get, the less you get out of that. You're looking more, are they behaving like their normal self? I mean, sometimes you'll see a horse come into the paddock who's made 10, 15, 20 starts, and their coach just glistening. There's a little bit of confidence to them. They're not too quiet. You want them to be composed, but you don't want them to be dull. You want there to be a bit of a swagger in their step. And so when I see that, I definitely do take that into notice before the riders get up, especially. I think that's when if you're at the track and you can see them before they get the saddle on, I think that's honestly the best time to find if a horse is ready to run their race that day. If they're kind of following all those things I said, walking with confidence, tucked up, glistening coat, well muscled, and just taking it all in without a care in the world, but they know what they're about to do is probably the best way to put it.
They know their job, but they're not overworked. Yeah,
exactly.
I like it. They're looking
feel good
sharp
about what they're about to do. So, I mean, once I realized that it's really no different than a human athlete warming up for a game. The ones that usually are calm, cool, collected, and straightforward before the game, they usually are the ones who play the best. Not the guys who are freaking out, rah-rah, and not the guys who are quivering because they're nervous. There's the middle ground. And once you try to find those comparisons between humans or yourself and the horses, that'll go a long way in figuring out how to analyze it pre-race before you're playing horses.
That's excellent insight there.
I think it's cool to see a horse progress in that manner as well. Yeah. I mean, Moira was a head case.
Oh my God, she kicked the hedges off. Yeah.
Yeah. She lost shoes. She injured a farrier, like legitimately injured a farrier. A farrier, he ended up being okay, but he had to leave on an ambulance. Like he got her good, or she got him good, I should say. And now she's calm, cool, and collective. So she's realized she's become professional, and as she's grown and as she's become a bigger deal and going to other racetracks, she's definitely figured it all out. And it's cool to see. We often don't touch on how intelligent these equine athletes are, and they can mature and grow in multiple ways, and their behavior can change, and they know that it's time to shine. It's time to conserve energy and put their best foot forward on the track. And she's certainly a Woodbine example of that.
Yeah,
no doubt. That's excellent. SPN, I want to get your thoughts on this. We're about 3 minutes to post. I'll get the feed up here, and then after this race, I'm gonna do a quick reset of my connection so we can get a cleaner stream for the Nassau Stakes.
Yeah, no, I had never. I was kind of like Eric. I'd never really, read too much into that when I was younger. I've come a little bit better to know. Obviously, on like hot days, you're gonna have horses that are, that are hot and sweaty, and that's just inevitable. But I can tell kind of actors are like, if you've seen a horse enough, you can kind of tell you like what their usual style is, and if they're a little bit off their game. And if you know them, like if Eric knows some horses at Prairie Meadows, JD probably knows horses at Woodbine that regularly, like kind of what their pattern is. And if they're a little off than they're normal, you're like, okay, that's not a great thing. But you know what I'm saying? But generally, Zach, I don't read too much into that. But if the horse is like really lathered or really worked up, obviously that's not a great thing.
Of course, yeah. You want to make sure that they just look, look normal, but look like they know what their job is. You don't want to see them with too much lather going on.
Trained by Marty Drexler.
Crazy. I can never tell when a horse looks,
Sabachi.
Thank you. Looks really, really, tip-top shape, I guess. The only 2 times I've seen a horse really stand out amongst others in person was seeing Flightline run before the Pacific Classic. Obviously, that was just kind of a man amongst boys type of situation, like watching LeBron James walk into a YMCA to play some pickup. And then the only other one was for the Breeders' Cup Turf, where Yabir ended up winning back in, I think that was 2021. But those are really the only 2 where they stood out in such a way that I was able to capitalize. Other than that, haven't really, been able to distinguish that. Just know to look forward to make sure a horse isn't, acting too crazy, too washed out, and isn't too lackadaisical, as I think Eric said a little bit earlier. Absolutely. It's all good things to look for. As we are about 1 minute to post for race number 9, we'll go through one more time, top to bottom here. I am on the 7. Couldn't get too creative, but I'm going to try and work in the 3 and the 4 in some exactas underneath. JD, what's your play here?
I like the 2 to upset the boys. Fashionably Fab, 14, or I guess now 17 to 1 on the latest click of the board. But I'm alive in a pick 3 to 278 here. So I do think Essex Serpent is the speed of the speed. Things could set up, however, for either the 2 or the 8 to sit right off and close. So I'm basically 2, 8, 7 in order of preference.
I like it. 2, 8, 7. SPN, how about you?
Yeah, I'm with the 1. Bail us out. I hope she can run a big race. Love the way this race is set up for Kevin and Rapoli, and I hope there's enough speed out there to get him. And I'm doing exacta keys with 3, 4, 5, and 7. And I might even throw in Eric's like 8, because I think 9 to 2 that, but I'm going to try to get the 1 at a little value, up and down, see if she can get in first or second, Just a quick note, let's keep our fingers crossed. I guess our good friend Patches did not make it back to the winner's circle. Sophie got off him after the race, but I'm sure it's just because he ran 7.5 furlongs, versus 5. I'm sure he's right near the thing they hosed him down. Probably brought him right back to the thing. So hope he's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope he's okay after coming out a good bit there in the stretch. Eric, we'll get to you right now. Remind us your picks in here and any bets you'd like to play to spice things up.
Yeah, I think for me it's pretty straightforward with the 7 on top. The 3 at 15 to 1, certainly going to have going to have him involved underneath. In addition to the 5 and the 8, I know that's pretty straightforward. But if the 3 can fill out some of those spots underneath, I'll be in good shape. Other than that, this is kind of the bridge of the last 3 stakes races. Got through with Patches, thankfully, hoping to get through with Essex Serpent. And then, like we talked about earlier, hope for a bomb in the last to kind of make my day.
Absolutely. I like it. Bomb in the last, who I'm sure we will get to here in a bit. And JD helped provide us with an update here. Patches O'Houlihan back at the barn, resting comfortably after being assessed by the vets per the Woodbine comm. So thank you, JD, for the update there. They're loading in the gate. Again, I apologize for the video quality. Hopefully for the Grade 2 Nassau, I'll get things straightened out with the connection. Part of it is maybe me. Part of it's maybe StreamYard. Who knows? But good luck to everybody on their wagers. They're loading in the gate. I'll let Robert Geller give us the rest of the load and the call.
And the next along is Essex Serpent. To the outside gate is Classic Motown, the winner of the Eclipse. Stand by for a start. The Dominion Day Stakes. Classic Motown goes in. All in. Locked up. Off they run, and an even start. Shooting for the lead is Fantastic again, as in front, crossing towards the inside for Victor Espinoza from Bayless out, Fashionably Fab, and Essex Serpent floats forward on the outside. Dipping slightly there was Stanley House. Dancing in Denial in the center. Up the inside, Fly the W, the outer Classic Motown. Not much between first to last, and they've gone at a fairly good clip early. Fantastic again out the stretch, leads by a length. Essex Serpent is up second. Bayless out, settling in third from Fashionably Fab. On the inside, Stanley House. A length behind them is Classic Motown. Fly the W on the inside, second last, and last early Dancing in Denial. Racing into the backstretch in front, Fantastic again. Tracked along by Essex Serpent, who's only a length behind. A length and a half Bayless out on the inside of stablemate Fashionably Fab. Another length and a half Stanley House on the outer Classic Motown, and 2 lengths away Dancing in Denial, shading Fly the W. About 7 lengths covers the field, and still Fantastic again makes play in front for Victor Espinoza with a half mile to run by 2 lengths Essex Serpent. On the inside, Bayless out. 1 to Fashionably Fab. Stanley House is mid-pack on the inside, making good ground. A length away on the outer, coming 3 wide. Classic Motown Satellite as they start their runs on this leader. Fantastic again. 3 parts to Essex Serpent coming up stylishly. And on the outside, Fashionably Fab and Classic Motown. And back in the center, Stanley House from Bayless out, Dancing in Denial and Fly the W. Fantastic again, narrowly. Essex Serpent trimming the margin as they corner. And Fantastic again, still in front of Essex Serpent. Stanley House in the clear is coming on. And on the inside, Bayless out. But Fantastic again. Victor Espinoza in front by 2 lengths on Fantastic again from Stanley House. And Fantastic again in full flight to the wire. A brilliant winning ride. And Fantastic again wins the Dominion Day. 3 parts Stanley House. 4 lengths away, Bayless out from Essex Serpent. Fly the W, Classic Motown, Dancing in Denial, and last, Fashionably Fab.
Well, Fantastic again. Victor Espinoza aboard, gets a win.
7-2.
7-2 is a very nice price that went off by 6-5 on the 7 Essex Serpent, who loomed up at the top of the stretch. But just like we've seen with all these races on the synthetic so far, when they get to the top of the stretch, that inside seems to be doing a lot better than the outside. They just kind of kick away, and they're pretty
5.
tough to catch.
Fantastic again. Second is 3, Stanley.
Great call by you two on the 3 Stanley House.
I mean, he got the perfect trip. He really did. And
he did, yeah.
But like we talked about, Fantastic again broke so quick, and it was kind of over from there. The 7 probably did the right thing by not chasing him too hard, but he also the 5 kind of broke out a little bit. The 7 kind of shied a little bit. He had so much to make up early on that I'm sure Husband said, I got to give a little somewhere, ration him out a bit. And from there, it was game over. So good ride by Victor Espinoza. And then, that Stanley House, boy, did he run. But at the last second, I threw some bucks on him across the board. So he bailed me out a little bit there. So
there we go.
Thankful to break even at least on the race.
There we go. Yeah. Go ahead, JD.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of bailouts, Bayless out ran pretty well there, SP, and I think you have to be happy.
She ran
with
fantastic. I was really impressed with her. Yeah. Considering when I saw the 24 fraction, I said, well, that's not what I was looking for. But she stayed, he had her in perfect position, actually let her settle back a little bit and then came back on. I think if you're if you're a Tard, you got to be really thrilled with on a more even playing field track. She'll be there this year. She's getting better and better.
Oh yeah,
The
there are going to be a
blinkers on,
lot.
definitely.
Yeah, that
The
helped
blinkers on moved it
tremendously.
up.
Yeah. Yep.
There are going to be a lot of playbacks out of this race for
Yeah.
horses both to play against and horses I will want going forward on a track with maybe a little bit less wind. All right, I'm going to hand things over to JD and you guys as I am going to go reset my connection real quick. Hope to be back in just a couple minutes here.
Sure.
All right. As Ryan heads out, I think one thing you can say about Victor Espinoza is he's always had a great clock. And if you look at the fractions of this race, it was basically 24-second quarters. It was 24 flat, 48-2, 112-3, 136-3, and closed in 12-3. So, I mean, just absolutely what you want to see from a front running effort, and good to see Victor Espinoza getting in the winner's circle here.
Yeah, me too. Hall of Famer. Yeah, he's amazing.
I'll update as Ryan's been doing, racing around the country. So brilliant birdie for Cherie DeVoe. Just won the Wise Dan at Churchill. So grade 2 effort for brilliant birdie with Brian Hernandez aboard. Good effort as Cherie actually had the exacta with Taking Candy finishing second. That's, and then next we've got the Stephen Foster happening before our next race at Woodbine. Stephen Foster, obviously Skippy Longstocking out, but still Mindframe, Sierra Leone, Mystic Dan, and First Mission all going to battle as the key components there. But we've got payouts from Woodbine Race 9. Fantastic again, 960, 480, 460. Stanley House with a strong second place effort with Leo Salas aboard, $8.05. Bayless out third at $4.10. Exacta for $2 paid $80.10. Dollar Try 531 paid $152. The 5-5 $2 daily double paid $14.90. Dollar Pick 3-5 4565 paid $28.65. And in the Johnny Walker winner's circle, and figuring out for the first time at Woodbine that in the Johnny Walker winner's circle, Victor Espinoza could keep that bottle of Johnny Walker if he wanted to, but he handed it back off wisely, as we see. And we mentioned Woodbine Comms did send out that official communication that Patches O'Houlihan basically walked under his own power onto the van, and then already has been assessed by vets and been let back to the barn. So good news. He's already resting comfortably in the Robert Tiller barn. Good news all around for Patches O'Houlihan, the reigning Canadian Horse of the Year.
Awesome. Good to hear.
All right. So we move forward now. The final graded stake of the card at Woodbine, where we've got 22 minutes away from the Nassau grade 2 affair, going a mile on a good listed turf course. We've got Win Place Show, Exacta, Trifecta, Superfecta wagering. We also have the Jackpot High Five and the $1 Omni, because I've refused to use the official word that Woodbine calls that wager. So yeah, Super High Five in this spot as well. But I've got a field of 11 horses signed on. The one scratch that was actually the first scratch that came out today was the 9, and that's Mixologist for Josie Carroll will run another day. But early on in betting, Caitlin Her Greatness actually 7-5 favoritism over Sweet Rebecca, who opens at 8-5. So the two betting choices that we expected to see at the top of the list are their opening here. And you know, Ryan said it's a 2-horse race, and we've given some ideas that, you know, it could be more than 2 horses. I think 2 interesting horses that I want to hear your guys' opinion on, and we've talked a little bit about them, are the 2 Pimlico Invaders coming out of the Gallarette, being the 12 Austere and the 8 Ocean Club. I think both of them can factor into this Exacta and Trifecta, depending on how the race is run and how close they can be to the lead. What do you guys think?
I think if Ocean Club hops out of there, she's going to be dangerous to be there at the end. Her run's towards the end of last year and then early into this year, win and lose. I mean, that's the kind of race you want to see her run, which is get out on the lead and run a little bit. Her last 2 races, I think the Sand Springs just was never going to go her way. There was a lot of speed in there 2 back, and she had a wider post. And then last time out in the Gallarette, she got beat to the lead by a horse named Charlene's Dream, and then that horse never stopped. So she kind of led her own race that day, and I think that given the opportunity to run, she'll be there. Whether she's good enough to beat Sweet Rebecca, Caitlin, or Greatness, who both should sit forward without leading, that's going to be the big question. So I definitely think Ocean Club has a chance. That's one of the bombs that I referenced earlier. I'd love to see get home here to help me out in some other wagers I had, even though my pick 3 that we've talked about is now dead without Essex Serpent.
Yeah, and interesting with Ocean Club and what Glen Hill Farm has done is Glen Hill Farm has owned the mare throughout, and they've sent to various trainers. So now this is back to the initial trainer, Tom Proctor. Has been with Bethany Baumgartner, been with Jack Sisterton, just really track dependent. We saw Jack Sisterton be the trainer of record last time this horse ran at Woodbine back in the Trillium in July of last year, where she finished 4th, beating a length with Sophia Vivas aboard. Sophia Vivas back aboard again today. And Sophia's had a pretty good meet so far, SPN, 17% for last year's Sovereign Award winning apprentice jockey. Obviously now steps up to journeyman, but I think something could be said for how much experience Sophia's been getting, because she's been riding the New York circuit on off days.
Yeah.
She's been riding Finger Lakes. She's been getting out there and really honing her craft.
Oh yeah, and if Eric, if you want a rider who can get a horse out early, it's Sophia. She knows how to get a horse to the lead probably better than anybody. So if Ocean's going to get the lead, Sophia is one of the best breakers I think in the game. Yeah, exactly. And so I think she's been remarkable. I mean, she came right off the farm literally last year as Mark's assistant in Ocala, and then came up and just showed absolutely no fear right from the beginning that she was going to make her mark and that she was going to be successful. And she hasn't stopped. You know, and a couple of people said, "What happens when she loses her buck?" Well, what does 17% say to you? It didn't. It means she hasn't stopped a bit, and she's just as confident. So she's remarkable. So I think she's done a remarkable job.
Yeah, she's kind of been the jinx of ABR, because Dane Torgman at one point was continually picking against her last year, and I think 3 straight stakes races where he picked against her, she won despite Jordan, her jock's agent, being somebody that we have on our broadcasts all the time. It just It doesn't make a lot of sense why Dan Torgman would continue to pick against her, but it happens here. So we see 9-1 off of the 15-1 morning line right now is what we're seeing on the number 8 Ocean Club. We are seeing some potential bombs in this field, obviously, given the 2 heavy favorites that we expected going in. Looking at the odds board with 17 minutes to post, is there anybody that you guys are surprised to see at the price that they are?
I'm Cheryl at 20-1 is interesting to me. I may put a couple of bucks across on her at 20-1, almost 20-1. I'm not saying she should be favored, but I thought she might get down to like 12-1 or somewhere around there. But 19-1 is a great price. And even as you mentioned, JD, Austere, we saw this last year when Declan came up with Brendan, and Brendan's like 17-18%, coming up to Woodbine. And Declan came up with him last year, and they stormed on the track. They won in a move very similar to this. So I think at that price, that's pretty darn good value on the outside for her, because she could, if she moves in Declan, he's already won with this horse twice before, broke her maiden and won at Fairgrounds. So Declan knows this horse. So I think that's an interesting horse on the outside for sure.
I think the 11 Mission of Joy at 16-1 is a little crazy to me, truthfully. I mean, she was grade 1 placed last year. I know that her last race was her worst race in a while, but it's not like Graham Motion to have an effort like that and then come right back in a tougher spot. That's just unheard of for a trainer like him. So 2 back, she came off the bench, essentially 3 to 5 and won very nicely. Last time out was the beaten favorite. It's not like she didn't take money when she was beaten at Monmouth. So there's a lot to this horse, and I don't know what went wrong last time out. Maybe if I dove a little deeper, I could find out. But knowing how good she can be, knowing that Graham Motion wouldn't bring her here to this race, bigger field, tougher quality, he's not just here for the fun of it. So 16 to 1 is a crazy price. I got to get running, guys, but I've had a really good time, and hopefully we can get one of these prices home to end the day. So I'll see you all later.
No doubt. Thank you for joining us, Eric.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you guys for holding it down there. Knock on wood, but this looks much better. So we will keep it moving out here for the final race out at Woodbine. Got everything caught up to speed, I think. But we were just talking about who we liked and what our plays were, JD.
Yeah, we were talking about any surprises on the board, and SPN, brought up Ray for Sherrill at 19 to 1 right now. And one thing we should mention with Ray for Sherrill is reunited with her rider for the first time in a while, Emma Jane Wilson.
Yeah.
Obviously, Emma Jane just coming back into riding less than 25 mounts into her 2025 campaign after a horrific incident in 2024 that saw her really have to battle back to be able to get back on a horse, the all-time winningest female jockey in terms of earnings, as we take a good look at the Charles Fipke runner for the dual Hall of Famer Roger Atfield in both the Canadian and U.S. Halls of Fame. Nobody better that's ever trained a horse, in my opinion, than Roger Atfield. And you're getting 18 to 1 right now with the primary rider back aboard, Emma Jane Wilson, and looks like $1 million right now in the paddock.
Yeah. To your point, love seeing Emma Jane Wilson back in the saddle. Obviously, that road to recovery had to be a hard and long one, but she's back and she's riding really well. So Ready for Sherrill at 18 to 1, certainly a surprise. I think the bettors are betting this race similar to how we were talking about it in on the races prior, kind of a 2-horse race. But if you are trying to beat one of these 2 horses, or if you would like to, make your exotics be Caitlin Her Greatness or Sweet Rebecca over, any of the other horses, you're certainly getting your price here.
Yeah.
Sure. Do we look at the confidence of the hot walker to wear a tie with Caitlin Her Greatness? Like, he knows he's getting on camera. He knows he's getting his picture taken. And he put the tie above his penny.
Yeah, that's classy.
Penny. Like, that's classy right there.
That is classy.
That is just, I'm the best. Exactly. This is my girl.
Yeah, and I mean, she looks it. She looks the part. She's a beautiful color.
She is. Yeah.
Much like her namesake. Hopefully, she scores here.
And that's kind of a WinStar green tie too. So he's tying everything together.
Yeah, perfect.
Caitlin Her Greatness.
A lot of commitment went into that outfit right there, and I certainly respect it.
And here's again a horse I think can pick up the pieces and Ready to Jam for Sahin Savachi finally getting back aboard. Been aboard for all the wins for Gary Barber, who's had a pretty good day at Woodbine.
Yeah. Do you think we have the opportunity to see Ready to Jam maybe go out to the lead sprint, stretching out from these sprint races, or where do you picture Ready to Jam be early?
Yeah, I think Ready to Jam is going to be right off the two leaders and betting choices, Caitlin Her Greatness and Sweet Rebecca. So I do think we have several horses. Obviously, your 2 favorites in the spot want to be near the lead. I think really Ready to Jam can be up there. We were talking about while you were gone the option that Ocean Club could be right in the mix with Sophia Vivas. I mean, we talked a lot about it, and I'm just willing to throw this out there. This might be the race where the pace ends up being too quick, even with the wind bias.
Yeah, it certainly could, because there's no real front runners in here. I mean, there's horses certainly with some early foot. Even Caitlin Her Greatness has some early speed. Horses like Ready to Jam stretching out. The number 7 Miss Tart, who we're taking a look at right now. certainly they can have or show some speed, but none of these are really, you don't see a lot of the ones across the columns like you do in a lot of other races. So it's possible that, the jockeys are reading the same form as us. Maybe they all think like, hey, my horse can have some speed. This is a 1-turn mile on the EP Taylor turf course. So yeah, maybe this is the race where we see everything heat up and they sizzle early as they go around there. In the event that does happen, who do you think is the horse that's most likely to pick up all these pieces?
I think Eric mentioned the 11 Mission of Joy being kind of the horse that could potentially do it. Again, don't really know what happened last time out. Miss Liberty just didn't seem to fire and kind of faded away from the field when it looked like she was in the exact right position. And the other thing that I wanted to mention while Eric was still on is it's kind of a homecoming. Second time Mission of Joy, like, Ontario bred, who's been basically at any track other than Woodbine, only making the 3rd career appearance at Woodbine, and I think is spotted well today for Grand Motion. 8-1 morning line, and we're seeing 16-1 right now, and then SPN. I think that's kind of what you're hoping for with Ready for Sherrill, right?
Yeah. Even the 12. I mean, Declan and Brendan, if their horse is in the right spot, that us there can definitely close down the stretch. So, I mean, the 12 and the 3 are hoping that everybody on the front is just going way too fast. I think with Graham's horse, and this is maybe American thing, people really don't know S1 Flores as much, in America, as they do up in Canada. And I think that could be the kind of the little bit of the 16-1. Like they're used to seeing Graham ride like mostly American riders, you know what I'm saying? But they don't know S1. But S1's had a pretty solid year so far. But I think maybe that's contributing a little bit to the Grand Motion, like 16, 17-1 status.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that point at all. Bringing that up, I'm somewhat oddly familiar with S1 Flores because he used to ride a lot for Hector Palma in California, out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
In fact, when I first got into racing, which wasn't too long ago, it was in 2019. A buddy of mine who was just kind of helping me get started, I just asked him, like, hey, what are the basics I need to know? One of the things he told me was S1 Flores, Hector Palma, and BG Stables. Use that combination. It's way back in my notes page that I had when I first started, but that's a name that I'll certainly always remember. So I know he's a talented rider. I like seeing him up here at Woodbine. He certainly had a good deal of success up here. So while he's not a super familiar name amongst everybody, I'm happy that I have some familiarity with him.
Yep.
Making their way out onto the track here. This race, I mean, certainly it's bet at the 4 and the 10, pretty much co-favored. They're both now 9-5 on the betting board, and everybody else, you have a couple of 8-1 shots. Everybody else is well into the double digits. I like the points you've made on the 3 Ready for Sherrill. If you use the time form to handicap, the number 3 has that late pace flag, meaning she has the best late pace figure in the race. So that's obviously going to give you some confidence if they do start to heat things up on the front end, which personally I'm really interested in seeing how the dynamics of this race and how this race ends up unfolding. We haven't seen a whole lot of passing go on once they get to the top of the stretch in terms of the leader. FBN, if you were to take if you had to pick one of these 2 favorites, is 9-5 a fair price on Sweet Rebecca? I feel like the value for 9-5, we're just speaking on what we're offered right now. I feel like 9-5 on Caitlin Her Greatness is much better than taking 9-5 on Sweet Rebecca.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is Chad Brown money. The Americans are saying, hey, it's a Chad Brown horse and it's got Dylan Davis. Let's bet it, no matter what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? And yes, she has a huge chance. She's actually been staying in Catherine Day Phillips' barn, and she's been doing well up there. But I think this is more of a let's play in Chad and Dylan, in this Woodbine Canadian race. You know what I'm saying? Where I don't think she belongs in 9-5. I think she belongs like 3-1, 4-1. I don't think 9-5. So even though she's my top pick, I'm not thrilled with 9-5. I would really want 3-1, on her to bet her flat. But yeah, I think Caitlin's much better value at 9-5 than Rebecca is.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Quick update for anybody that is paying attention to Churchill Downs today, as they also have a good day of racing going on. The Stephen Foster just finished up. It went Mindframe won as your post-time favorite at 9-5 over the number 4 Sierra Leone. And then it was a photo for third between First Mission and Mystic Dan. Mystic Dan got the exact same trip he's gotten in, I think, every single Churchill Downs race where Brian Hernandez just tucks him against the rail. He had every chance to go by, but Mindframe really took a big step forward. So just a quick note as we're 8 minutes to post here for the 10th at Woodbine.
Wow.
One thing I'll mention heading back to Woodbine here is we've talked about a lot of jockeys who are coming in for this race. One jockey that we don't think is somebody that's coming into this race because they were at Woodbine for so long is Huber Villagomez, who actually is the only ride he's had this year at Woodbine was the 70-1 victor aboard Miss Tart in the Royal North last time up.
Right.
So he's up just for this one ride, just like he was back on May 31st. He heads back down to Presque Isle for their cards this week. So 19-1. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to back a 70-1 horse in a 71 winner in a stakes race that's coming in and facing a much tougher field. I think Miss Tart was a toss today, and especially now that the fans seem to be betting Miss Tart off of the win last time out. I can't take Miss Tart at 17-1, but just figured it was worth a shout there.
Yeah,
definitely worth a shout. Thanks for pointing that out to everybody. How about this Rail Runner, Blueberry Fields? I know hasn't shown a whole lot, but I feel like this one might has a decent chance to be forwardly placed, and obviously that's not to this one's detriment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you like Daisuke and Mighty Heart in the King's Plate, Daisuke can get a horse to the front, and most of Daisuke's wins are ironically either from the front or way back from the back for Tiller. But Daisuke can definitely get a horse out. So so at 51-1, if he gets the right trip and gets brave, that's why it's horse racing. You never know.
Yeah, he had a winner in the first race of the card. It was on the Interturf course where he took Satori and just gave a 15-length lead and let somebody try to catch him. He didn't. The TrackMan comment that you will see next time you see that horse in the racing form, won as pleased, which is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. And obviously Daisuke's got a good motor and can get horses out there. Obviously, this horse is coming off the layoff. Had Justin Stein aboard for most of the big efforts last year. Justin obviously retired after an injury late in the season. I know Justin's hoping to get his license to become a steward. And obviously, in Ontario, we've had a shortage on stewards, so hopefully that all goes well, and we can see Justin Stein kind of have a second career in racing once he gets healed from his injuries. But 52-1 for Blueberry Fields, a little much. Crevaldo Oro, when you're talking the two horse, when you're talking about horses that could pick up the pieces, Ryan, I think you've got to mention this horse.
Yeah, definitely. This one has a good leg kick, is going to save some ground and can certainly pick up some pieces if they do heat things up here. Seems to be rounding into good form. Obviously just won the allowance optional claiming event last time out, but did it nicely and can certainly take a step forward here. I mean, you're taking 26-1 on Patrick Husbands, who's a very, very top-end rider here on this circuit, along with Mark Cassie, who doesn't seem to know how to not find the winner's circle more often than not up at Woodbine on these big days. So, no, it's certainly, this is one that I would want to include in my tries and supers in the hopes that this one could pick up the pieces.
Yeah, they go way back.
Yeah.
They go way back.
They do. In terms of betting in here, obviously this is our last race of the day. How would you approach this race if you were to play a vertical? Are you going to play any trifectas, any exotics, try and get some prices, maybe sneak them into second and third around one of these two favorites?
JD?
I'll start and say that I'm just going to keep Caitlin on top everywhere. So I'm looking at a trifecta key where I'm going to key Caitlin Her Greatness, and I'm going to put the 5, the 8, and the 11 to pick up the pieces. I am keeping the 10 out here. I do think Sweet Rebecca's best chance is to send hard, and I just feel like if it's a pace duel between those two, I think Caitlin Her Greatness is going to be the victor of that outcome. So I'm thinking that Sweet Rebecca, Dylan Davis will see the writing on the wall and maybe save this Chad Brown runner for another day. So going to keep her off there. So 4 key trifecta with 5, 8, 11, and we can do the same thing with the exacta as well.
I like it. SPN, how about you? How are you going to spice things up here in the final?
Yeah, I'm the reverse. I'm keeping the 10, hoping that Dylan, who just like loves this turf course, she goes back to her old form of coming off the pace rather than going to the lead. And she's got her Lasix back. She's 2 for 2 on Lasix. I think the front running style didn't work. What do you call it? Now that could be the detriment because that could help Caitlin greatly if she's up front and uncontested. But I'm going to key the 10 with the 3, 4, 8, and 12, and try to get them somewhere in the mix there. But I do think that Dylan is if he can go back to her old style of the coming from behind rather than not too far behind, especially on this course, but if he can be close, then I think Dylan's done so well on this turf course the last 3 years. I'll key him.
He really has done extremely well. The way I'm going to spice it up is, I'm also with you, SPN. I'm playing the 10 on top and Sweet Rebecca. I think she has a shot to upset. And the prices seem to be having a good amount of disparity now with 6 to 5 on Caitlin Her Greatness, 2 to 1 on Sweet Rebecca. So I'm going to go 10, and I'll go over. I do want to use your 3 ready for Cheryl. So I'll go 3, 5, 7, and 8. I'm going to do just the trifecta key. I'll use those 3 on top, and I'm sorry. That's for an exacta. I'll go 3, 5, and 7 for my exacta with the 10 on top.
Yep.
Yeah. One interesting thing is if you're looking at it strictly from the doubles pool, Sweet Rebecca is actually the favorite over Caitlin.
Yeah, I noticed that, by the way. Yeah.
Wonder if we'll see a late odds change as they start the race on that late odds drop to.
But the rest of the multi-race exotics, it's Caitlin Her Greatness. It's just the doubles.
Okay. I will say, JD, that could be again the Americans betting. I'm just saying, Chad and Dylan. Let's just bet it. You know what I'm saying? Where I think she's definitely more the value at 6 to 5 than her at 2 to 1. If that makes sense, But yeah, no, I definitely see that.
It's going to be a fun race to watch. Obviously, the hometown favorite in Caitlin Her Greatness goes up against the out-of-town invader in Sweet Rebecca and a bunch of other talented horses that are going to try and spring a huge upset here. They're loading into the gate. We'll let Robert Geller call us home for the 10th and final, the Grade 2 Nassau Stakes from Woodbine. Good luck, everybody.
Roger Atfield sending out ready for show with Emma Jane Wilson. Goes to gate 3. As they bring ready for show forward. The wind dying off just a little bit as the day continued. Ready for show.
I think I saw Elliot Walden up there in the paddock. That's a good sign for the Caitlin Her Greatness fans.
And now getting right down in the betting again. Was even money for a moment. Caitlin Her Greatness has gone forward. Ready to jam.
This was Robert Geller's best bet of the day.
A big race last start. Ready to jam. Metaphysical comes up. Winner of the Royal North is back, Ms. Tart. Followed forward by Ocean Club. Sweet Rebecca. Mission of Joy stepping in. And to the outside gate is Declan Cannon with Austere. The field is just about ready for the start. And they're off. A great start, too, across the track. Mission of Joy pinged the best with Ocean Club going to the front. Back to last early, Creval de Oro. And showing early speed towards the inside is over on the rails, Ms. Tar, getting through as they come away, these top three. Ocean Club out in front with Sweet Rebecca going up to be second. On the inside, Ms. Tar, length to Caitlin, her greatness against the hedge from Ready to Jam. Austere is on the outside, and behind them came Blueberry Fields. Metaphysical getting right back now is Mission of Joy with Ready for Shirl. Creval de Oro on the inside, about 6 lengths covers the pack, and it's Ocean Club in front. Leads the way at the 5/8 by about 3 parts of a length to Sweet Rebecca. And going forward on the inside is Ms. Tar. Caitlin, her greatness, right there in the thick of things. A length away came Ready to Jam, who's on the inside of Austere, coming wide and dropping back. Behind them there was Ms. Tart. Metaphysicals next, tagging onto the main pack. A length and a half away came Ready for Shell, picking up ground between Blueberry Fields and Mission of Joy. And 4 lengths away last now, Creval de Oro. Ocean Club in front, Sweet Rebecca second, Caitlin, her greatness, right behind them as they corner in the Nassau Stakes. Ready to Jam is handy on the outside at the top of the stretch. Ocean Club the leader. On the inside, Caitlin, her greatness, Sweet Rebecca found a little bit wanting. Ready to Jam's a chance, and coming down the outside, Austere and Mission of Joy, and then Blueberry Fields, but they haven't got to Ocean Club. Ocean Club has the lead. Ocean Club in front of Ready to Jam, and down the outside, Austere and Blueberry Fields, but Ocean Club in front from Ready for Shirl and Blueberry Fields. Ocean Club the winner. Ready for Shirl second.
Wow.
Blueberry Fields third, then Austere.
Those
Ready to Jam.
Those payouts of these exotics are going to be insanity. It looked like 8-3-1. That's 12-1 over 19-1 over 61-1. Who was your longest shot in the field? And that trend continued at the aptly named Woodbine that JD mentioned. Yeah, 8-3-1-12. The 5 Ready to Jam put in a really nice run around the far turn, JD. But there was just no catching those horses out in front today.
Yeah, and if Eric was still here, I'd give him a victory lap here because he called it with the 8, and Sophia got right out of it.
Yeah.
And did not look back. Caitlin did not break particularly well, and then the immediate thought was, let's save ground. Actually impacted the 3 a little bit, and the 3 comes back and runs a huge race to finish third. Actually, Caitlin, her greatness almost ran the 1 into the hedge as well. And those horses come back to finish second and third. If they didn't finish in front of Caitlin, her greatness, we might have a prolonged inquiry.
Yeah, no doubt.
We didn't have to worry about that as Ocean Club goes wire to wire, 8-3-1, 12-5. So even looking at it from a super high 5 perspective, 12-1 over 19-1, over 61-1, over 7-1, over 23-1.
Yeah,
Emma, if you're watching, I love you. I had you across.
There we go. The bettors bet it like it was a 2-horse race, but neither of those horses were in the top 5. Just prices all the way throughout. If anybody has that super high 5, job well done. That is a extremely hard one to come up with.
You're buying dinner.
Yeah. The only thing I got correct is Dylan gave up on the 10, and the 10 finished last.
Yeah.
So if there was an extra wager for picking who would finish last in this race, I would have won.
You would have, and the odds would have been good if they had been the inverse.
And had good odds. And had good odds too.
Exactly. No, excellent call. JD, SPN, thank you both for sticking along for it was almost approaching 2 hours. JD, you've been on for almost all 3. As we're at 2 hours and 50 minutes, the Ironman. Thank you guys. This was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed talking Woodbine. It's not a course or a track I get to cover as much as I would like to, so I was happy to help highlight it on Canada Racing Day, and I had 2 people who know Woodbine like the back of their hands. So thank you both for the excellent insight.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks, buddy.
JD, I know I didn't have any beers for you, but next Saturday for our show on ABR for the Indiana Derby, I will have beers. I will have drinks that have actual names to them. They won't just be made up as I did for I forgot the show. I think that was Florida Derby, maybe.
And I will have. I think the last time I had a fancy beer, and I'm going to go get beers from this as well. I can get beers from a brewery about 15 minutes from the track here in Arizona, meaning like 15 minutes from the track in Indiana, and spotlight those on the stream. So that'll be fun.
That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. the mayor. Thank you, SPM. Great seeing you as always. JD, yeah, finish off that drink in your King's Plate chalice as you were correct in picking Sweet Rebecca to finish last.
Yeah.
Gets me absolutely nothing, but I appreciate it.
Of course. Looking forward to seeing you again in a week's time. Please keep your eyes peeled. Again, Thursday, real quick to promote the shows. Thursday, I will be on ABR with Dan Torgman. We'll be going over the Indiana Derby on a preview day. That show will be about 45 minutes or so. And then, of course, next Saturday for Indiana Derby Day card, it will be myself, Dan Torgman, JD Fox, and some other fun guests. SPN, you're welcome to join us next week as well if you'd like to run it back for the Indiana Derby if you're not up to anything. We'd love to have you.
Anytime for you guys.
Yep. Appreciate it. We'll be sure to be in contact. To all the viewers that tuned in to watch for the entirety, thank you guys so much for the support. Almost 1,000 of you guys for the last couple hours here, so it's much appreciated. Hope to see you all next week. And to everybody that's going to continue watching, wagering, and betting on today's races, best of luck to you. We will see you next time. For my wonderful co-hosts and guests, I've been Ryan Anderson from ABR. Thank you guys. Take care.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails,